How's it hanging, YouTube? Peter here, your ginger Geordie geek. Welcome back to the channel for another Saturday Night Live. And we've got a bit of a special one for you tonight. We've got a guest from across the pond, and we'll get to him in a second. But we'll start off by saying a few hellos. We have got, as ever, my good pal Luke from Hydra Collectibles. How are you, Luke?
I'm very good, thank you. Very excited to be here this week. We've got some interesting topics to discuss.
Yeah, there's been some interesting news this week, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But some stuff that I think is going to generate a bit of discussion, so that's going to be fun. We have got. He's not my number 2. He's my number 1. Well, we'll see how the night goes because Kevin is amused us so far, so he might take the number 1 spot. We'll see. But we've got Efren from Past Point Comics. How are you, Efren?
I'm doing fine. What about you guys? It's going to be a good show today. I got a feeling it's going to be a great show.
Yeah. I'm doing well, mate. It's always nice to see you, Efren. All jokes aside, always nice to see you, my friend. And we'll do my standard, Efren, because it's bloody freezing here. What's it like over in San Diego today?
Oh, it's like in the upper 60s right now. San Diego. Sun's out, no clouds around. You know, in the morning it's a little bit cold. I won't lie. Nothing compared to you guys, but yeah, it's nice right now.
Swine. Yeah, we're freezing. Freezing.
That number 2 is not shifting anytime soon, Efren. Just so you know, mate.
We are joined by YouTube royalty. We have got Charlie himself from the Killer Comic Show. How are you, Charlie?
I'm all good. All good. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here on this fine Saturday evening.
Good stuff.
Morning.
We'll go even. Yeah. We've got lots to talk about. Oh, Efren's pissed off already.
See you.
We've got lots to talk about. And Charlie, I've got a few slides for you later on because you've got loads of exciting news about the Killer Comic Show, which we'll go into a bit later on.
Yeah,
looking forward to getting into that. Right. We are honoured to be joined tonight by Kev from SHORTBOXED, all the way from the US of A, to talk to a little bit about SHORTBOXED. So, Kev, just start off with telling me a little bit about yourself and what your interest in comic books is.
Sure. So I'll start with me and my sort of like little origin story. Been collecting since I was a kid. Dad would come home with a bunch of random books he'd buy at flea markets or swap meets, and we dig into them. And then, like everyone, I leave comics for a few years when I discover girls and, all that sort of stuff. And then I come back around as an adult, just with the money to buy the books I want, the time to read the stories that I missed when I was younger, and managed a comic shop, a brick and mortar shop in Oakland, California for about 5 years prior to this job. And now I work with SHORTBOXED. It's really cool. I get to take my passion for like comics and customer service and tech. I've got a little bit of a tech background, and I get to smash them all together working for this awesome company. So SHORTBOXED, to get into that, is a mobile app first experience. It's a marketplace for buying and selling both graded and ungraded comics, where we provide all sorts of information and tools to make it safe, easy, give people confidence that when they're spending money, they're not overspending, and also opportunities to find a lot of cool, fun deals in some unique ways, which we'll discuss. We're bringing some things like auctions to the market real soon, and a couple other little tidbits that we have coming that I'll go over as well.
So I'm really excited about this, Kev, because it will have no doubt passed you by. You won't have noticed, but I'm an older gentleman.
No way.
Yeah, exactly. That
YouTube filter's doing it for you, brother.
It's marvelous, isn't it? If I take this off, I look like the old woman from Titanic. No, I'm not particularly good with technology. I've just kind of learned about whatnot and other things like that. But I had a look on the SHORTBOXED app, and it's got some features on there that really jumped out at us, which we've got slides for, so we'll talk about in a bit. But it looked very impressive, so I'm looking forward to getting at that. You said there that you owned a brick and mortar comic shop. That's the dream for I think a lot of work. I would love that.
Thankfully, I was just managing it. I wasn't responsible for all the profits and losses of the business, because it is a very hard space to survive in. It's a grind, eking out your bills one paperback issue at a time, but it's the best. It was the best change in the quality of life for me, coming from like corporate startup life into comics. I took a massive pay cut and I was so happy. I didn't look back. I didn't care. It was really probably the best job I've ever had, barring this one.
I guess when you look at, selling your regular comics, your monthly books, there cannot be a massive profit margin in that. You must have to shift
No.
a lot of product to make a decent wage, I would have thought.
Yeah, it's a lot of product. You pre-order a lot of stuff. The big two publishers like DC and Marvel, they don't give returns on books, so you order it and that's it.
Yeah.
You have other publishers that are a little more friendly with the brick and mortars like Boom and IDW and stuff like that. They will allow you to return stuff if you over order maybe the first couple of issues and things like that. So it's really like a big math equation that you're constantly trying to balance and make sure that you're meeting the needs of your people that come in and hopefully catching new readers. Without a lot of like overhead or experience in ordering and knowing what to get or how deep to go on certain things, it can be kind of scary. It's also why you see incentive variants the day of release spiking in price like 400 to 10,000%, and then dropping real quickly months later, or a month later. Shops kind of have to capitalize on it. As much as the purists in the space really want the hobby just to be about finding books you love and reading cool stuff. Like there's a money game that has to happen in order for that to be available for people to find books they love.
Absolutely.
So it's a little difficult. You don't want to support the flippers, the people that show up with Key Collector. They're like, do you have any of these books? It's like, go dig in the boxes yourself. But at the same time, you have to support them. Otherwise, you're just passing on a huge chunk of money that keeps your business afloat.
I mean, I know I've often, because I collect comics and I've collected them for a while, but I also collect action figures and toys and things like that. And I've often thought retirement plan, that would be nice, a little shop or something. Luke, I know you've got a big kind of stock of collectibles. Is that something that's ever appealed to you, opening your own little stall or shop?
Do you know what? The overheads are just too much. So like I've always dabbled with the whole reselling and doing things like that. And my collection has evolved over time, where I've bought and sold plenty of different things over the years. As for kind of like the end game to the whole collection, I know that I'm going to have to do it eventually, because to leave it behind for someone else to do, it's going to be too much for them, and they're not going to know what it's worth. So I think I'll enjoy it for a few more decades, hopefully. And then I'll be the one to let it go. I'll be the one to ship it off.
Yeah, good stuff. Efren, I'm just spotting the dog in the background. He's having a bit sniff around.
Sniffing my comics out. So.
Kev, you will notice that we are an extremely professional outfit, and probably the best show we've ever done was when Efren's cockatoo decided to take a shit on his shoulder mid-show.
Oh, nice. I had a pet cockatiel. Those are crazy things to have.
He just kind of casually looked and kind of...
That's what cockatiels do, man.
It was nice. It was nice.
There's crap everywhere.
Charlie, what about yourself? Are you into the selling kind of space?
Well, do you know what? I'm pretty similar to Luke. So it's... in this day and age, it's all about the overhead. You don't want to get into something where you're going to instantly be making a loss. And I think the backing, you'd need a lot of backing to be able to make a substantial dent in setting up a shop and having the bricks and mortar and finding the clientele. Because over the last 2 or 3 years, especially in the US, the comic market has shot up. Everyone's into comics now. Everyone's into collectibles and stuff. And it's slowly picking up again in the UK. So everyone's trying to do the same thing with the likes of Whatnot and everything else. I think it's a hard thing to do unless you've got the financial backing and the substantial stock to kind of see it through.
Absolutely.
Or a partner, a partner who's well funded and has a sense of that stuff. The oversaturation is a huge problem, and I think that became really, really apparent early on with Whatnot. Was just like you don't have enough buyers to meet the number of sellers. They're just adding hundreds a week and maybe a couple dozen buyers a week. That's not sustainable. So hopefully that equation flips a little bit and they can keep doing what they're doing, but it just doesn't seem like a sustainable business model.
Efren, you've sold books before, haven't you? You've got a Instagram, I think.
Yeah, I've sold some books on Instagram. I've used SHORTBOXED in the past. I did Whatnot one time and it was okay, but I went away, and when I came back, it was so freaking convoluted. So many people selling stuff in there. They have Silver Age, Bronze Age, like different modern age that people put in there. They're selling toys and clothing. I was like, it was just too much for me. I was overwhelmed. I won't lie. So I'm not doing this. I can't. But I mean, Luke was talking about an age. I'm 60, and that's the reason I started saying, okay, I got to start getting rid of some of these books. I have so many dollar bin books. Oh my God. Yeah, so I am starting to. I'm really interested in your auction site now, Kevin, because I may do that.
Yeah.
So many books.
It's very. I have to say, it's very appealing. So and
Yes.
we'll get onto that in a second. Okay, guys, just going to quickly jump to the chat and say hello to people. We have got, as usual, good old StreamYard. Thank you for joining. We've got Fuzzy Wagwan. Nice to see you, Fuzzy. I hope you are well. Killer Comic Show. What have I let myself at? Charlie, you've no idea, mate. You've no idea. Few more drinks in and we'll see how good. Speaking of drinks, me and Charlie usually like to compare what we've been picking up from Aldi. I'm on Taurus Cloudy Lemonade tonight. It's not. I have to say, it's not the best. It's cider, but it's all right. What are you on, Charlie?
I'm on a health kick, so I'm just drinking a litre of vodka.
Vodka. That's fair enough. That'll help you through the night. Yeah. We've got Bat Dan. Nice to see you, Bat Dan. Hey up, me ducks. I hope you are well. We've got Chris Bell. Always a pleasure to see you, Chris. And we've got GP Venom. Nice to see you, GP. Hope you're fitting well, mate. We've got Sean Horgan. Nice of you to join, bud. And we've got our pal James T. Keegan. All the way. Well, he should be flying back, I think, now. So hey to you. Is he back? Is he?
He's back.
Oh, good stuff. Nice to see you, James. I hope you've had a brilliant time away, mate. And we have got Dr. Von Hoot. Always nice to see you, Dr. Von Hoot. He's laid up at the moment. He's got a bad back. Kevin, we'll have to introduce you to the good doctor because...
Yeah.
Charlie, how would you describe the good doctor?
Oh, this bodes well. This bodes well. I can't wait.
Put it this way, one of the nicest gentlemen I've ever... Well, is he a gentleman? He's a male. So he's a male. It's one of the most surreal experiences that I thought within my 38 years of being on this planet would never happen. So we went to a Comic-Con, without diverting too much, we went to a Comic-Con, one of the best ones in the UK, Thought Bubble, last year, and spending my weekend with a male was sensational, and it's nothing I ever thought I would sit here and say.
So Kev, a mowl is a man and an owl. So do you see that little image of him on the bottom there, that face?
Yeah.
That's what he looks like. So all of his live shows, that's what he's like. All right. We went to this convention that Charlie's mentioned. We went to Weatherspoons, which is not the highest class establishment, and he actually arrived dressed like that. With a cape, a bow tie.
Yeah, I love it.
It was entertaining. It was certainly entertaining. Von Hoot is asking, what ranking is he if Rob is number 1, Efren is number 2? Well, we'll decide the rankings by the end of the night, mate. We'll decide the rankings. We've got Tragedy Tales. Hey, folks, hope you're all well. We are, mate. Thank you very much for joining. Just finished the definitive Irredeemable, only to find out they never made issue number 2. Tragedy Tales was on a live show, and we did an impromptu live show last night with Andy from Perpetual Comics, and we got into the chat talking about books they would recommend to people who just started out collecting. Because Tragedy Tales is fairly new to the hobby, and it was interesting. So I'm going to put you guys on the spot. New person to reading, I want you to recommend one book or one collected edition or something like that for them to go away and read. Luke, we'll start with you.
I'm going to say what everyone in the chat was saying last night because I was there. I'm going to say Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's a good show. I've never read Walking Dead. I've watched the show, but I've never read Walking Dead. I need to get on that.
So the show started really strong. I feel like it did waste the opportunities. There's a lot of great things in that source material that they just steered clear of. But the comics are absolutely amazing right through to the end. So I highly recommend them to anyone.
The show could have gotten a little more creative in trying to recreate the feeling of the black and white in the comics. Like once you add color to it, it kind of changes the equation. They're even like reprinting all the Walking Dead in full color, and it's super cool, but it's not the same.
No, it's not the same.
Yeah.
I remember watching, was it Sin City, where they did it in black and white and that added splashes of colour. That was pretty cool. That would have been good.
Yeah. Pete, that was like a perfect segue because I was literally just going to say Sin City. My dad had these books years and years ago, and I kind of got into them. Then when the film came out, I kind of got into that. So yeah, I would have to say Frank Miller's Sin City. It's like we're one mind, Pete. It's so great.
We're connected, Charlie.
Yes.
Efren, how about yourself? What would you recommend people read?
Normally I would pick a Marvel book, because Marvel's been 99% of my life, until recently. But Peter, me and you have talked about this book in the past. I would pick Camelot 3000.
Yeah,
it's just a great book to read. It's a series.
Super fun.
Yeah, it's a great book. And basically, you know, Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, when England in his dire needs, when it needs them the most, King Arthur will come back.
That's right.
And it starts the premise from there, you know. So it was a really good storyline.
Yeah, it's a while since I've read that one, actually, but I need to
Yeah.
go back because it is a tremendous series.
Yeah.
How about you, Kev? What would you recommend?
Oh man, if we're going big two, I'd probably go with the Marvel Uncanny X-Force by Rick Remender.
Yeah.
Just top notch. Like made Deadpool a super fun character to read and way less slapsticky, but still funny and dark. The art is incredible. And if I wasn't going big two, I would actually just pick that creative team up and go into the indie world. And I've been reading Seven to Eternity, the Omni, which is like beautiful, incredible, like process pages and all sorts of cool sketch stuff. But yeah, I'm a big Rick Remender fan. He's kind of what got me into adult comics. I started around when Saga started, Deadly Class, Black Science, like that whole what I call the golden age of Image. And so I'd probably tell someone to start in that era. I mean, you can almost throw a rock and hit good comics around that time, which is not something I think you can really say nowadays.
Absolutely agree. I love that X-Force run. Archangel's one of my favorite characters. I really enjoyed that whole Apocalypse Seed kind of saga.
Oh, dude, the standout moment is when Deadpool is nursing Archangel back to health by peeling pieces of his skin off and feeding it to him in a tent. He's just like in this tent in the middle of the enemy headquarters, and he's like feeding him bits of his body, and Archangel's like, "What is this? It's really good." It's like, just keep eating, buddy. Just keep eating. We'll get back out there in a second.
It's funny because that was a bit like our night when we were at Thought Bubble. We did similar things. You know, it was it's a very good series.
Feasting on the Mao.
Yeah, fed Dr. Von Hoot in his beak.
What did you get up to?
I just wanted to mention, you mentioned Rick there. We talked about him last night because I've recently discovered Deadly Class, and I've just picked up the fourth oversized hardback. It's amazing.
It's so punk rock. It's so punk rock. It's incredible.
I haven't watched the TV series yet because they did one season of the show. No,
don't bother. I mean, the show ended super early, and Rick Remender's response to that, they're like, "What do you think about the show not finishing?" He's like, "Go read the comics." Yeah. And it doesn't really match. It's the same like they did with like Archie when they did Riverdale. Like it took this cool property and added a bunch of teen drama into it. So if that's your bag, go for it. But I would say skip it until you're done with it, and then go back and just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I will do.
Yeah.
Andy is recommending
Space Usagi's great. Not wrong. I don't know about. Is a belter. What's a belter?
Belter means it's great. It's good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I could have guessed.
Me and Charlie read that recently on the. We read, to be fair, we read whatever the recent reprint is from.
You read it. I didn't.
Did you?
Yeah. No. I got halfway through. No.
Yeah, not for you. Not for you. Bat Dan is saying not read Hellboy for 20 years, but I'm 450 pages into monster-sized Hellboy. Yeah, I need to read some Hellboy as well. And Andy, Scalped. I've heard a lot about Scalped.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. So good. Not a feel-good comic. Definitely going to make you a little depressed at the plight of the Native American situation.
Yeah. It's definitely one I want to pick up because it looks very interesting. Yeah. Okay, guys, let's crack on. So this is me. These are all my different socials. If you're interested, you can jump on that and check us out there. Tonight, we are going to be doing the usual stuff. We're going to be talking the Geek Report, so going over some of the week's nerdy news. We're going to be doing what you've been buying, so if anybody's got any recent pickups we can talk about, we'll give away some comics at that point as well. Talking about what we've been watching on TV at the cinema, and also what we've been reading. But we're going to start off talking Shortboxed. So Kev, tell me a little bit about Shortboxed and some of the different things that you can access on the app. Because I have to say, I was blown away by the fact that the price guide and everything was on there. I didn't realize that was all uploaded. I bought that bloody book. I could have saved myself a fortune.
Yeah. That's the point, you know. So the app has existed for about 3 years. We started as just the platform for doing graded comic sales and purchases, because we were building the database off of this bigger database of CGC records. It really made sense, and it was an easy transition. Well, I don't know about easy, but as time progressed, we obviously needed to offer the option to do raw books. So we had to come up with a creative way to do that still sort of matched the polish and the capability of what we had for graded. So you'll notice that on like raw comic sales, when people list a raw comic, they do have to select what they think the grade is. And then when you go to the listing to shop, you get to see what the graded sales of that book are going for. So you have a little bit of an idea. And that's like the overarching vibe that we try to produce with the app, is like being helpful, being safe, being secure. It's also a double blind system. So buyers and sellers don't really interact, which, you know, some sellers wish that they could talk to people, but ultimately, most of the times where I've seen sellers and buyers interact, it can turn toxic, or they get hassled. They don't want to deal with them anymore. So we handle all of that for our dealers. You know, if they send a book out and there's a return, or book's damaged in transit, that's another thing that's not really an advertised feature of the app. We take care of all of that for you. Once you've sent your book, you're done. You just wait for your payout to come through. If there's ever like a lost package, we pursue the claims. I mean, that right there, I think, is worth selling on the app. And so we recently added the raw comics. The price guide is a tremendous resource. It will show you the most recent sales in a particular grade on a listing, or if you go to the price guide component that's a little more standalone in the app, you can search a book and then look through all the fair markets for the various grades.
That's
so
brilliant.
And on the listings, we also provide a census snapshot. So you don't need to go digging around multiple websites to figure out if your 9.8 is one of 500 of them or one of 5. It'll show in the bottom of the listing. And yeah, it just, we like to overload people with info so that they're very informed when they're making their decisions. And, you know, if they see a raw book, they're like, hey, I want some other pictures. Can you reach out? We take care of all that kind of stuff and make it nice and easy for them. Yeah.
I mean, that sounds fantastic, I have to say, because sometimes, again, it may be because I'm an older gentleman, but sometimes trying to access some of this information, like how many books are on the census and things like that, is a bit of a pain in the backside, trying to hunt around for it, you know? So
let alone trying to do it on your phone, you know, trying to pull up like a GPA tab and a Go Collect tab, and then have your SHORTBOX app open, and then looking at sales comps on eBay maybe. I mean, that right there is like 4 pages that you have open that you have to manage and also refresh to make sure that they're up to date. Everything just lives in the app for us, so people don't need to leave the ecosystem.
Well, Kevin, within 5 minutes of having the app, I typed in the grail that I was after and a specific grading, and I found it within seconds. So now I've kind of just got to beg my wife.
Easy as pie. Well,
would it happen to be a Harley Quinn book?
Yes, and it's the newsstand 7.0, which I've been looking for. So
there you go. Well, and Charlie, you can add filters and save the search. So even if you're not going to get that now, but you want to be able to come back to like a preloaded set of search results, save that. You'll get email alerts, text alerts, in-app notifications if one of those items pops up. I mean, who knows? Like maybe your grail is sitting in someone's portfolio that they don't have listed. All they got to do is turn that over, and you get a notification on your phone to go check it out.
So just picking up on that point, Kevin.
Yeah.
When you say your portfolio, I can load up all of my comics into this app and use it as a kind of because at the moment, I don't know what the rest of the guys are like. At the moment, I don't have a definitive list of all of my CGCs, my grails and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. And that will become even more robust. Currently, it's great for uploading all your stuff. If we have fair market values for any of the books, we provide those. So you get this like running tally in the corner of what the fair market value of your collection is worth. It's very, very easy to like search and sort and look for things, flip things from being in the portfolio to being for sale, and then back if you change your mind. Easy to edit prices. You also, people can like and favorite the items you list, which allows you to then go back. Like I have a guy every Friday, he goes through all his listings and sends custom offers on every book that has hearts on it. So every Friday, hundreds of buyers on the app get notifications that this guy is willing to make a deal, or, similar to like sending offers on eBay, but a little bit more direct. And it tends to work real well. So, and here we go. There's a little bit of info about the portfolio that we were talking about. And that's how it looks right there. Very simple, easy to maneuver. Not a lot of extra tabs and windows you have to manage. And very easy to upload. Yeah.
Because I'm a tight-fisted northerner, the question that's jumping straight out to us is, this is all very nice and it looks very, very cool. How much is this going to cost us?
$0. nothing is hidden behind a paywall. There's no charge to use the price guide. All of that information we have put out there for the betterment of our community. That's the other thing too. You know, like I mentioned, the 4 various tabs, you're going to have at least 2 of those as a paywall that's required in order for you to get deeper information. The only money that we make with transactions on our app is 10% of the sale. So 10% of the sale goes through. We take that. You get your payout. You get your book. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did I not know about this? Why have I not been using this? Because it sounds right up my street, I have to say. Now
you're going to be spending a lot of money, Peter.
I
That's
know,
why.
I know.
And I know, Pete, we talked about this a little before, so let me go over it now too. For UK shoppers and Canadian shoppers, we do have that option. We don't currently have international sellers on the app because we're still sort of working out. Customs is a monster. You know, trying to figure out shipping options and things like that is very difficult, especially when each country has its own set of shipping options that shine in various situations and just dull out in others. So we do have the option for you to buy. You don't necessarily have to pay your customs and tariffs and taxes on every single purchase. You can have us store the books at headquarters for you, and then when you're ready for them to be shipped out, you just let us know. We'll package it up in the most efficient manner we can with the best shipping service we can find. Of course, you know, part of the trial and error with international shipping is like we get people that are like, hey, try using this one. We'll look into it. You know, we want to make sure that it's cheap and affordable for everybody while still giving you the type of protection that we feel is necessary for shipping valuable books.
I mean, that's really interesting, Kev. I know we spoke briefly, but the shipping to the US, from the US to the UK, is quite often a big factor for us. So the fact that you guys are willing to hold on to the books to make it more economical, that's really quite appealing, I have to say. I'm just, before we continue, I'm just going to quickly jump into the chat. Fuzzy, I think that's answered your question, bud. Tragedy Tales just mentioned we were talking about books. Watchmen, that's a definite read.
Absolutely.
Andy, not to be confused with hotboxing, a completely different user experience. Filth, Andy, filth. Werewolf by Lunchtime. This is a great guy from Australia. This is in reference to the show last night. He's been waiting 12 and a half minutes to read this. That's because we got so lost with the comments last night. We're about half an hour behind, I think.
It was really good fun.
Yeah,
watching you guys squirm and read out responses to things that were discussed half an hour
ago. Yeah. Andy's saying I'm literally the silver surfer. How dare you? Andy, here's an idea. If I have a saved search, it should ping a seller if it matches something in their portfolio.
That's on the way. That's on the way. Yeah, we've got that. So it's kind of funny working for this company. It's like the CEO is like Reed Richards. He's like a futurist. You know, every freaking idea I come up, I'm like, hey man, it'd be really cool if we did this. He's like, yeah, it's on the roadmap. Or hey, we talked about it 2 years ago. We came up with this these objections, and then we have a discussion and it moves on. But I don't think I've come up with an idea yet that hasn't been like, oh yeah, we have that somewhere on the list. Thanks for reminding us. So that's part of the plan. I think that would be a super cool experience for you to just have, you know, one of your awesome books in your portfolio not for sale, and then to get a message saying like, this guy's willing to entertain whatever price you want for it, throw it out, see if he wants it, and then you just like move it over into a private sale and get it over to the person that wants it. So eventually we will have that. I'd say probably more realistically, that's something that'll come either later this year.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. Werewolf by Lunchtime. I like Kevin's chin. Werewolf's sometimes a little bit random. It looks like he's going to turn into my name.
There you go. There's a nice close look for you.
Nice,
there you go.
Nice. Yeah, extreme close up. Very good. Andy's suggesting linking it to Stackery. It sounds like you've got a kind of a similar system there, I guess, if you hold the books yourself. But Stackery, we were talking before it came online. I know a few people use that. I've not used it myself, but that's basically a storage facility that then ship books off. But it's worth looking into because I know a lot of you. Charlie, have you got a Stackery account?
No, so I've got a Stackery account. I haven't filled it yet, but I used to use I was massively into collecting Funkos. So for NYCC and San Diego Comic and stuff like that, I would get them sent to my US, which is similar to same as Stackery, and then you do it as a forwarding address, and then it comes on show. But that was good because they would literally just hold on to the stuff, and then they charge you a thing at the end of it, and they put it all together and send it out. But Stackery's good. I know Andy uses that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm taking notes on these because that's the other thing. We just don't know the names of these services.
Yeah.
Even when we try to talk with people that are utilizing them, it's like real obvious because we're sending everything to some address in Portland, but they're like, their information is all from China. It's like, we just want you to like tell us who it is, but I think they feel like they're going to get in trouble or something.
Yeah.
So they're not very forthcoming always with the information. So thanks for mentioning the names. I'll definitely send those over to our logistics team and see if there's anything that can be done.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Charlie isn't allowed into Weatherspoons, I thought, but you've read Watchmen, Charlie, haven't you?
Yeah, I got bored of it. So I'll go back, read it. And what I'll do, just for you, Von Hoot, I'll watch it and read it at the same time.
Multitasking. Very cool. Very cool. Any jobs going at Shortboxed? Yeah. Absolutely.
Not at the moment. We're all staffed up for now, but we're looking. We're always fundraising, and we're doing investment rounds right now. So once we get more funding and we have some growth and stuff like that, we will open positions at the company. If you go to shortbox.com, there's a careers link at the top. I believe if you click it now, there's nothing there. But when there is something, I would just recommend continually checking on that, or maybe set a LinkedIn alert for Shortbox. Who knows what we need? It's
Shortbox
a variety
UK.
of skills. Yeah.
Shortboxed UK office. Just saying.
I mean, when we expand to the UK, it would make sense to me to have a physical satellite location with someone we can rely on who knows the ins and outs of UK stuff.
Yeah.
So you never know.
That'll be Efren. He'll sort you.
Yeah,
There you go.
I had a question for Kevin.
Yeah.
Did you say when people who live in another country, they have to ship the books to you guys in the United States for you to ship them out? Is that what you said?
No. No international sellers at the moment. It's just the process of getting the books from the US sellers and then shipping them to the international buyers.
So if I sold something to Peter, I would have to ship it to you first for you to ship it to Peter?
Correct.
Okay. And I couldn't ship it myself?
No. We don't want people to have to do that and figure out the shipping, which one's cheapest, make sure the insurance is appropriate. The other thing too is all the labels that we provide are all insured fully through collectible insurance. Okay. So if something happens, that label is necessary for us to give you any sort of coverage on stuff.
I understand. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that was it. Yeah.
I understand the confusion because I have shipped to Peter and I have shipped to Luke. It took me a couple of minutes or seconds to make sure I got it right. I kept on sending them messages on Instagram to make double and triple checking. Is this the right address? I got to make sure, I was more nervous. I think them, so. Well,
and then you get it right, and then it doesn't show up for them for like a month and a half. Like it's not consistent. That's the problem. It's like you might find the cheapest option here, but that means they're going to wait 2 months to get their books, and that sucks. Yeah. Like no one wants that. Absolutely. I'd rather give you an option to pay, 50% more if you want to get the books now, but give you the options. It's just it takes it's a puzzle figuring out the international shipping scene. We're getting there.
Speaking of shipping, Fuzzy's got another question there. Is there a set shipping fee per book? That's
when you purchase books, there's for graded books, it's always a $15 per item charge. When those all get to us at headquarters, I believe we would look at the total shipping when we eventually send your stack of books versus what you've paid for shipping on those orders. And charge you either the difference, which is more likely than any sort of a refund. But if there was, for whatever reason, a partial, it was lower than what you paid for all these items, then we would offer a bit of a refund. Okay. Yeah, we want to make it make sense. We're not here just to like scrape charges and make money that way. So
Kevin, what I'm getting from this so far is that I'm going to be skinned and divorced within the next 2 years.
Absolutely. Yeah. We can live together under a bridge or something, Charlie, because I suspect I'm going to be exactly the same.
You can build a house of comics.
Yeah.
That's fine.
James is making a good point here. Often sellers from the US to UK don't select the correct customs options to avoid charges. Paper goods aren't supposed to have charges on them. That's exactly right. So
does that count for slabs too, though, with plastic being and paper?
Yeah. So I can't remember what the code is, but it's Luke. You might remember. What's the term they use?
Yeah, I don't know the code itself. One thing that I do know, though, is that it's not the same for proper like hardback books. So paper goods, comics, and even slabs is fine. But the minute it gets to a certain size of actual like book, then you do have to pay a fee. Right, you have to pay the charges.
It's even weird like that in the US. Like out on the East Coast, I think in like Massachusetts, they don't charge tax on periodicals. which comics fall under periodicals. So even old vintage pulps and books, you know, it's like you don't have to charge tax, but then if you're using an online e-commerce platform, they want you to charge tax.
Yeah.
It's a mess over here too. You know, it's a roll of the dice.
And he's right. Yeah, it's the printed matter that they call it as. But interestingly, even I've had stuff from the US where they have clearly marked that, and I've still had charges against it at times. So you've got to kind of go back against it. Andy, absolutely shameless. Absolutely shameless. Can we get some SHORTBOXED swag? Terrible, mate.
Hey, Perpetual Comics, why don't you message Pete, and we'll connect. And if I can get you a shirt or something, I'll send it over. As long as it doesn't cost me like $50 to send it to you, I'm happy to hook you up.
$75 to send a pencil.
I can throw that in a drop bag and I can send it to you. As long as I don't have to box it up, I think we're fine. So you just let me know.
Werewolf, my absolute apologies. I haven't posted it yet, mate. You won some comics a good while ago and I've not sent them yet. I will send them. Send us your Australian address, Werewolf, and I will happily send it to Australia, mate, if that's easier. Just drop us a line after the show, bud. Okay, let's crack on, guys. SHORTBOXED live. Now, we quite often stream with another American called Rob. I'm not going to say he's number one.
Is it Rob Fatstacks?
Yeah. Rob.
I love Rob Fatstacks. He's like one of my faves.
Is he your number one as well, Kev? That's why I called number one.
That mustache is number one in my book, baby. I love seeing Rob. It's always so manicured and perfect. I feel like he just came out of like makeup, you know, to like get on the screen. He always looks so good. He's a character. I love Rob. He comes to our shows. He's a frequent buyer on the app. We've figured out a lot of customer service stuff for him, and he's a big fan of the app. So
he talked to a while ago about attending SHORTBOXED live, and he said it was phenomenal. He said it was superb. So tell me a little bit about this.
We're doing it again. SHORTBOXED Live is a one-day show with the best collectibles coming to the Bay Area, California. It's in Santa Clara, California, and we've got about a dozen different artists and creators coming out to do signings and, you know, sketches and just be there to meet fans. We've got 20 of the best dealers on SHORTBOXED. It's kind of a cool show. The cast of dealers is going to change every year because it's based on how well you're doing on the app. So if you sort of took the year off and you're not really doing a lot on the app, probably not going to end up being one of the showcase dealers. But all these guys have been working real hard this year on making sure to ship books out on time and to send stuff and list good items and price them well. So we brought 20 of those dealers all to the same place. We're actually paying for their hotel rooms. We're taking care of them, trying to treat the dealers like the star of the show, which doesn't really happen at most conventions. Yeah. And we're going to have a great time. We've also got a bunch of keynote speakers that'll be presenting things from the app to their various platforms, talking about the state of the comics market. I'm sure Rob talked a little bit about the speakers when he was going on. That was one of the big highlights for people. And just a super fun event to come and hang out for a day, and super cheap. I don't think it costs very much to get in, like $20 or something like that. And last year we had around 600 attendees. This year we're shooting for closer to like 850 to 1,000. So growing really quickly. And it's at the Santa Clara Convention Center has so much space that we'll just keep growing it every year and keep coming back until it's not fun anymore, which I don't see being the case. Yeah.
Added to the bucket list. And so for us UK based people trying to get over to the States for a convention is quite often a dream. We've talked a lot about New York Comic Con and things like that.
The funny thing is, though, Pete, I'm that short. I could probably be shipped in a short box.
There you go.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah. we can see if we can sort that out. Yeah.
Just crowbars pop in the crate. And
yeah.
That's it.
Ready for action. Yeah. Chris is just saying that Efren is going to have grown a handlebar mustache of his own next week. Good stuff. So yeah, that sounds like an amazing convention, and it's nice because I know a lot of the guys on screen with at the moment and in the chat, we've talked a lot about conventions and about how I'm going to sound like a right old fart, but the comic convention of my youth has disappeared to almost. It's unrecognizable. You don't see a lot of comic sellers, and I'm sure Rob told us that this was a comic seal. You know.
Yeah, this is the Comics in the Spotlight. There's a few other shows throughout the year that are so heavy on comics that I can wholeheartedly recommend. You got Heroes Con, you've got Baltimore. I mean, those are probably the two biggest. There's Little Giant, also New Hampshire. Yeah. It's got another one-day show. One thing that might make this appealing for travel for some folks is that it is literally the day after Free Comic Book Day. So if you make a trip out to the Bay for the weekend, you can cruise around to all the shops in the Bay Area, hit them up on Free Comic Book Day, get deals, get your free books. And then, the hangover day, the next day, you come on down to ShortBox Live and hang out with us for the day and check out all the cool stuff we're serving out.
Is your real name God?
I've been called worse.
Sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, man. Charlie, if you want to come out, I'll comp that $20 ticket for you, brother. I'll get you in no problem. Yeah.
Good stuff. It sounds amazing. It really does. And then tell us a little bit about your new venture then. What's this?
I've got notes. Let's go over it. Okay, cool. So if anyone's ever used Heritage Auctions or any of the other, big event style auction platforms, what happens is they put together this big lot of stuff that they allow people to preview and check out. We're doing it very similarly to start. We'll be sort of hand selecting items from various dealers. We're going to start with our stuff first, just to make sure nothing messes up and, someone else's stuff is at risk of selling soft or whatever. So the first couple of auctions will be our stuff. We'll put together these big lots. In the day or two leading up to the auction, you'll be able to pre-browse those and sort of set watches or hearts on the various items to make it easier to find those later. So you don't have to browse through the whole lot every time.
Yeah.
Then once pre-bidding is over, there'll be a big badge up in the main home feed that says bidding live, where you can go in and you can put in your bids. And then, eventually that'll get down to final bidding within the last day where, I'll start getting alerts that stuff's closing and you should go drop your last bids. Everything is going to be sudden death to start. So starting at $1, and we're not going to be extending the auction if bids come in within 5 minutes. This is going to be a situation where you can snipe and you can be sniped, which, depending on what side of that equation you're on, it's either awesome or it sucks. But that's part of the fun. So that's how it's all going to start. Eventually, we'll have things like buyer premiums, minimums that people can set on their stuff, and allowing more items in from our user base. We already talked about watch list. On the bidding and on the items in the auction lots, it's the same as the listings on the app. So you've got your price guide info, like your sales comps. You've got your census count. You've got all the little details about what makes that book cool and unique. Yeah. And then we'll also be dropping, those dots, like the green dot, yellow dot, red dot for is this book priced well. I would imagine we're only going to be putting stuff into the auction that's probably, green dot or whatever. And actually, no dots because there's no price on it. It starts at $1 and it goes up. There we go. I got to catch up sometimes. But you're going to have all that transparency there. Also, as people start dropping bids on items, we are assigning everyone a random username. So you might be Stinky Wolverine 45 for the duration of that auction, but that name will carry across with all of your bids on all of the items. So you'll be able to see where your bids are sitting. You'll be able to see other people's bids. You can tell if you're competing against a couple of really motivated buyers or if it's a real wide pool of people you're up against, which I think gives you a lot of insight into how you should drop your bids. If you've got one dude that's just like immediately countering every bid you have with an over amount, maybe move on to another item, or just wait to snipe at the end. So I think that sort of visibility helps you strategize how you're going to spend your money during the auction. You'll also get in-app notifications, like I mentioned, as it winds down. So you'll get email notifications 30 minutes prior to the end of an auction, and then in-app notifications 10 minutes. Easy to tap around and find what you're looking for to make sure you've got your last bids in. We also auctions is going to finally set the groundwork and open the door for combined shipping. So this applies a little less to our UK partners because we already sort of combined shipping in an ad hoc way. But now the issue with local buyers is, they don't want to, if they're buying 10 slabs from one guy, why do they want to spend $15 shipping per item? Well, the auctions are easy because we have everything physically in hand at headquarters. So we'll be able to bundle that up and give the best shipping option and send it out. But that cart-wise style shopping is going to set the stage for that to be a more public feature on just regular shopping in the app. So that's going to be really awesome. The other big thing about auctions is you're going to finally be able to pay for your auction stuff using ACH direct deposit from your bank, which carries no additional fees. Like if you want to pay PayPal for your auction winnings, there's a 3% additional fee, which is also a little different than what we do normally in the app. It's a little newer, but we're just going to, eventually the fees got to come, and that's probably where it's going to start. And that's pretty much it. The one thing I should note, because I found this out beforehand, is we will be allowing UK buyers and Canadian buyers to bid on auctions. So you can get in there and have fun with everyone else. The only difference is we don't have the ability to allow you to use your bank account to pay. So if you do pay for your auctions, you'll be doing PayPal, and it will be 3% additional extra for now, until we figure it out to allow international banks to do that. Yeah. Just like international shipping, it's a massive equation we got to work out.
So. It's not straightforward, is it?
Yeah. And that's pretty much the skinny on the auctions. If anyone who's watching this, or you guys want to check out actual video workflow of how that unfolds, over on the Shortbox YouTube, we've got the More You Shortbox video for auction previews. You can go and check that out. I'll give that to Pete after the show. You can put it in the comments.
I'll put a link. I'll put a link in the description. So when does that go live, Kev? When does the auction go live?
We're doing final testing now. So we're going to be, I would say probably within a few weeks, we're going to be launching our first in-house auctions with the items that we have. I would expect those to, if the first auction goes real well and we can quickly turn around to the second one, that's, maybe. Yeah. So for publicly open auctions, probably a month, maybe 2 months. Yeah, would be my guess.
Okay, so that's all incredibly interesting, Kevin. I have to say, I'll come to each of the guys in a second to see what they've taken away from the conversation. But having had a quick play on Shortbox earlier tonight, I'm sold on it, I have to say. And I'm not just because you're on the show, I'm not just bullshitting you. I would be quite honest about it. The actual app itself has got so many cool features that I didn't even know were there. I'm particularly excited, like I said to you, about just having it as a repository for us to start logging my books and easy access to working out the pricing and things like that.
Yeah. Just wait till you upload a graded book and you take the picture and it pulls all the details in from the label, so you don't have to enter them yourself.
Yeah. Because to be fair, much like the rest of the guys on here, I've got a lot of raw books, but it'll be CGCs I go to first to look at. Efren, you've got about 4 billion CGCs or something, and I know you use another program to log them. Are you familiar with Shortboxed, Efren? Do you use it much?
I've used it a couple of times. I haven't used it that much, but I've always wanted to. I just put it in the back of my head, but. When a couple years ago when I bought that X-Men #1 and Fantastic Four #1, I bought it at San Diego Comic-Con at Shortbox.
Right.
Yeah, yes. Our booth has some tasty deals when you meet us at shows. We've stopped doing as many of those shows where we show up with a full booth of our books. We've started to bring in books from our sellers that are local that just want to be represented at a show they can't make it to. But yeah, it's pretty fun selling people monster books for good deals because we're not trying to squeeze every penny out of it. We want people to be happy and understand. Also, it's a pretty shitty look when you show up to a show and the marketplace has overpriced books on the wall.
I brought cash, and I was a lot of cash. I was holding on to it for dear life. When I bought the books, I was holding on for dear life too. I spoke with Gene. He's one of the nicest guys around. Gene is
he's great. Yeah.
Starter of Shortbox. He's a very nice guy, and he's the one person I interviewed last year at San Diego Comic-Con.
Right.
We had a
nice.
And he's just a very easygoing guy. And like I said, when I found out we started talking, he's from San Francisco. I go, dude, I was born in San Francisco, so we had that little connection too. Very nice gentleman.
Very cool. Very cool.
I feel like it's always fun to give the pedigree of the company too. Like Gene actually was one of the very, very first employees at Twilio, which is a giant tech corporation over here. Their services underpin like emergency broadcast systems and they're huge. So he started there, came out of that startup. Our CTO started at worked at Justin TV, which became Twitch. We've got ex-Facebook engineers. So we have some really, really incredible chops when it comes to our technical team, which is why the app works so well. I've worked here for 2 years and they've done 50 updates. Like what other app can really say that?
Yeah.
I had one more question for Kevin. I'm a little bit confused on the shipping. If I put a book on SHORTBOX, I ship it out, right? I don't ship it to you guys.
So there's a difference it depends on the price of the book. Okay. If the book is over $1,000, so for graded, if the book's over $1,000, it will be, no matter what, the book will be shipped to our headquarters first for verification.
Okay.
So we're going to check it, make sure the case isn't cracked, no scratches happened in transit, make sure everything's, as is, so that the buyer gets it and they're happy.
That's great, actually.
You don't want to return on a $10,000 book. So those come through headquarters first, where we inspect it. Then we package it up in a sturdier U-line box and send that along to the buyer with a little note saying thank you. If it's under 1,000, then the book, the label you're given ships directly to the buyer.
Okay. And this is only if the book is sold. Until it's sold, that's when they ship it to you guys, right?
Yeah. So if you're the seller, we will send you a email with the shipping label, and that is your sign that we've captured all the funds. Those shipping labels are not sent until the funds have been captured. Right. So you don't have to worry about, like, we get people that are new, they're like, oh, can I send it? Is it okay? We have all the money. You're good. Everything is essentially held in escrow with us until the book is delivered at the end point to the buyer, where they sign for it, and then we release the money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Good stuff.
Yeah. And sellers don't pay any shipping, deal with any of that crap. You just list it, slap the label, send it, wait for your money. We handle all of the customer service, questions, complaints from the buyers. Like, it's truly the easiest way to sell books.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Charlie, how about yourself? Is this something that appeals to you?
100%. Like, since you mentioned it on the Thursday night show, saying like we got SHORTBOXED on, I kind of looked into it, and I've spent some time looking in the app. As I said earlier, I've kind of found my grail there. But it's so user friendly. I think that's like the massive thing, is that it's not complex at all. It's literally just click, look. It's so user friendly, and I think this is it's really, really going to take off. I can see like a lot of people in the chat, and if not on screen, using this as one, a library and a portfolio function, but then also a way to kind of see what they want to buy, and they know that they've got the guarantee that you guys are kind of taking care of everything before it's even left and everything. So I just think it's great. So massive kudos to you and the team.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea, as you've said there, Charlie. I really like the idea of being able to easily have a look at what the GPA and things like that is on some of these books you're looking at. Getting a gauge quickly for the prices of the books.
Well, and we get people that'll occasionally reach out and say like, hey, this fair market looks off. Like, we work with our community. So like, oh yeah, you're right, that our system missed this one sale, or we need to update this here. Like, we take the community feedback very seriously. It's really the only thing that guides us when we want to grow in the way that our users want. So
one question, Kev. So say someone's uploaded a Hulk 181, and they've said it's pristine, and they kind of take the pictures and stuff, and it comes to you and there's marks and scratches all over it. What's the process for that? Do you kind of go back to them and say that you've kind of uploaded something that you haven't said what is true? Can you redo it? They're going to grade it or something.
Yeah, the way that we would handle that is we get a 181 that's been purchased. We're doing our due diligence and inspecting it. Turns out the case is cracked, or there's scratches on it, or something like that. What we would do is we would reach out to the seller first, just to say, hey, we did our inspection of the product. There was some damage that was suffered in transit, and then we first give them the option. You can either, if you're willing to reduce your price, we'll take that to the buyer, see if they're interested, or if you just want a return on it, we'll send it back to you. If they're like, I'll take $1,000 off, then we'll reach out to the buyer, say, hey, this is the situation, take photos. Do you still want it? $1,000 off. Usually they say yes or no pretty quickly, and we're able to get that book to its end destination, whether that's back with the seller or in the hands of the buyer. Similarly for graded or raw books, everyone was asking about the shipping options, and I really only went over the graded ones. For raw books, as a buyer, you have the option to select $15 verified where it comes to headquarters, and we look at it for pretty much any book. If the raw book's over $250, that's automatically the default ship option, because we want to check it out. And raw books that happens more with, as you can imagine, because people either aren't familiar with the eyeball grade scale, or they're not good at it, or they miss something. They miss that there's a full page missing or a coupon cut out, you know? So one of the very early raw books that we sold, one of the first ones was like a low number ASM, super cool book and not cheap. And it got to us, and the seller reached out while it was in transit. It was like, hey, you know, I tried to take pictures of the fact that the value stamp was missing. At that point, he couldn't put in notes, and now you can, but he couldn't put in notes. He's like, I don't know if the buyer really understood that I was taking a picture of the missing value stamp. So we reached out, and the buyer was like, I missed that. I'm not interested at all. No matter what the condition is, I want the value stamp. Like, sorry about that. Easy peasy. We just sent it back to the seller. Yeah. They have the book back. They can relist it. Now they can put notes in. So, you know, we're ultimately collaborative and cooperative with our community to handle stuff the way they want, as long as it doesn't like violate any policies or do anything suspect. But yeah, we want to make sure that the shipping and all of that it should be the easiest part.
It's a very strong system.
And it's also why we don't get, I mean, knock on wood, and you know, hackers don't pay attention to this part, but like why we don't really have a lot of fraud or like problems on the app. There's so many checks and balances. A book's never going to go from this guy to this guy without something in the middle where we're checking, or where this buyer hasn't provided, you know, tax information, so we know who they are. Like we've built a system that's robust to protect our users, because that's
what you could probably do is kind of send some of your team to work for CGC. That'd be great.
You know, CGC is such a massive company. It's a bummer, this recent thing that happened. But you know,
we're going to touch on that in a bit. It's and
I can tell you guys, I'll tell you what happened with that stuff from the SHORTBOX perspective when we get to it, because we ran into a couple books that were listed, that were part of that list that they had, and you know, like. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, I don't want to spoil it.
Okay, Luke, what about yourself? Is this something you'd be interested in using?
Do you know what? Just as a online resource, I think it is amazing for the amount of data that you guys are offering. I know that you can't say how you're able to get around these paywalls from the other people, but I just find it amazing that you have all that on the app and that it's free, as opposed to having to pay for those services elsewhere. So I can definitely see me using it for that. At least until we can start selling from here in the UK, then I'll probably jump on a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I could talk a little bit about that. The data is all pulled directly. Like, we don't pull the data from either of those paywall sources. It's we're gathering it organically through tech and algorithms and stuff like that. That's the stuff I can't talk about. But it's just the raw data for stuff is how we're pulling all that in. And one thing I should mention about the price guide, which you guys are going to love, is it works at comic conventions. When the cell phone service is dog crap, like you can't even pull up your messages to check stuff. That data requirement for that simple table of numbers is so low that I've been at San Diego Comic-Con and I've been able to pull up price guides at booths and just look at stuff all day. So. Enjoy.
I mean, that is a great point, actually, because there's been many occasions where I've been screwed for Wi-Fi, particularly down at the London big convention centres. Okay, guys, thank you so much, Kevin. That has been really, really interesting. I think you'll see by the chat that's been generated, people are really interested in this. I'd love to get you back on the show at some point when we've had a bit more of a chance to talk and play with the app and have a go at the auctions and things. But it's very, very cool. Right, guys, we're going to crack on with the rest of the show. Kevin, you're more than welcome to stay and talk geeky stuff with me.
I'll stick around for a little bit.
Good stuff, man. So we're going to go over some of the more recent news, comic book news. Sorry, mate. What?
I love this slide.
Let's start with this. This is the Thunderbolts movie from Marvel, starting filming soon, coming out 2025. We had the interesting kind of. Well, he dropped a bollock, didn't he? Robert Kirkman announcing that his good friend Stephen was going to be was having a costume fitting to play the Sentry, and then this week it's come out that he's dropped out of the project. I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, I'm not sure if the movie's got us excited. I like him as an actor, I really do, but I'm not sure I saw him as the Sentry, because for me the Sentry's a big buff Superman type character.
Yeah.
I didn't really see him in that role. What do you guys think of this? Luke, we'll start with you. What are your feelings on this?
So yeah, when it was first announced, I thought exactly the same. You know, he didn't look like someone who could play the Sentry as a character. You know, we're so used to actually comparing them. You know, however, given the type of actor that he is, I knew that he would be great for the emotional depths of the character. Yeah. And so I was very eager to see how he would play that, specifically with like the Void and everything else. Like, I feel like he can do that sort of damaged conflict. So I was excited for it. And so now it's a bit of a shame that it has gone this way. But from what I gather, it's because obviously all the writer's strike, the actor's strike and everything else. And so just the time has come where he's kind of like, oh, let's step back from it now. Whether or not he's burnt bridges is another
I don't think he has. But I mean, interestingly, I went back, and unless I've missed it, I don't think Marvel ever officially announced this casting. I think it came from Robert Kirkman, and it was all over the news. But I don't think Marvel ever came out and said, yes, he's going to be our Sentry. It's interesting. Ephraim, what about yourself? Are you excited about this movie, Ephraim?
I don't know, man. I love Marvel. I mean, I love superhero movies, but I just think they're just going a little bit downhill. I think it's just, there's so many out there now, and I think they just can't hit that plateau anymore. Everybody being excited about it. And I know a little bit about this Sentry character, and I just don't know if Marvel knows how to handle this character. I'm talking about comic books. He's so strong, the strength of a million or a billion suns, but he
exploding suns. Isn't it?
Yeah, he keeps on getting he seems like a loser mentality to me, you know. So I mean, I just hope they get a good actor to portray him. The death, what Luke said about Stephen Yeun, you know, he's just a good actor, you know, with him acting when he has the Void, you know. I think I was looking forward to that. But we'll see. You know, hopefully they'll get it right. I mean, I love the Thunderbolts, you know, the first iteration of the Thunderbolts were when they first came out, who were they? You know, they were villains, they were trying to portray good guys, you know. I like that. So hopefully it will carry some of that into it.
And I guess, I mean, I'll come to you, Kev. That was my interest in it, because I remember reading the Thunderbolts when it first came out. And the reason the Thunderbolts has got such fond memories and feels special was because of that surprise at the end of the issue when it was revealed who they really were. I don't know that we're going to get that in this movie, because we already know all these characters. What are your thoughts on the movie?
Well, I love the Thunderbolts. I feel like if they really want to make this IP pop, they should go a bit more extreme, maybe in, you know, the vein of like The Boys. Just like because that was, I think, another big draw for me, was like it was such an extreme series where like characters are dying and like things are happening, and I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. I'm going to be into watching the Thunderbolts. I'm hoping that is the movie that like gets me excited again about superhero movies, because to Efren's point, like there's just fatigue. I don't think anyone gives a crap about most of the Marvel storylines anymore, because it's attached to some 30 movies ago, you know, group of character. Like they need to stop doing Marvel movies in service to the greater storyline and do them in service to the movie they're making. And they would actually resonate with fans. I think all the people that were just fanboyed out and loved the idea of the connected universe are like, okay, we got it. You know, let's do something new. So they have an opportunity here to do that. I think the casting of Steven with the Sentry could be super cool, because he could get super ripped, and then have like, he could definitely do the depth of emotion needed for that character. But also, from Everett's point, like the Sentry is basically just like a MacGuffin. He's like a super OP character that was so OP that they had to nerf him in his origin story. They're like, this guy's so tough, we're just going to give him like a crybaby counterpart of himself that can end all life. It's like, I don't know, man. So then what's the freaking point of this character? That said, they've done some pretty cool Sentry storylines, so I'd be pretty pumped if they continued to build on that. The Jeff Lemire Sentry that they did maybe like 5 or 6, 7 years ago was really cool. So I don't know. I'll watch it like I do with all the Marvel stuff, but I think I'm actually excited about Thunderbolts, whereas like the last few movies have been like, I'll catch them when they're on streaming eventually, you know?
The recent Thunderbolt series, I think it's up to issue 2 at the moment. It's quite interesting. So they've split his powers amongst a whole host of different people. That's
nice.
that's kind of piqued my interest. How about you, Charlie?
See, I liked the Thunderbolts. I'm pretty much like you, like the original ones. And then when they did the whole King in Black run, and they kind of just dropped a Thunderbolts like tie into that. That was such an interesting story, and it was like 1 or 2 issues. And then we go back and we're introduced to the Sentry and stuff like that. But I think Luke's point is that Stephen's such an emotional actor. I mean, through The Walking Dead, you kind of grew with him, and you knew that when it was coming to an emotional scene and stuff, you was right there with him, especially with the iconic like bat over your head and stuff like that.
Horrendous. I mean, great, but horrendous. Do you know what I mean?
You sick sadistic man. But I think, I don't know. I'm kind of now thinking, if it was never announced by Marvel, was it kind of like he's trying to save face and being like, I'm going to step away from this because I might potentially not end up getting the role?
I don't know. I mean, they said he'd been for a costume fitting and things like that, and I don't know. It's
so with Nicolas Cage for Superman, but you know,
hey, that came good in the Flash. He got his moment of glory.
He did.
But I'm completely with you, Kevin. We've talked about this previously on the show. Marvel needs to stick to just kind of sticking with the story. So if I think back, my favourite stuff over the last few years is probably Werewolf by Night. Wasn't connected to anything. Wasn't a big, it was just a good quality story. Whereas this now relies on the multiverse is getting on my tits, if I'm honest. It's just constant. Luke, I'm going to put you on the spot, Luke, because I know you've done videos about this before. There's been some recent Disney changes, and we've got this. What the shit?
I'm so glad you showed it.
I've got this coming out. So, Luke, start off by telling me a little bit about the background to this. What's going on?
So, okay. Thanks, Pete, on the spot. So Steamboat Willie, the original Mickey Mouse, and I say Mickey Mouse because he did go by Mortimer Mouse before. He did exist before this in a different form. But Mickey Mouse as Steamboat Willie is now in the public domain. And Disney have been awfully quiet about it over the last year. They put out this whole thing on Disney Plus about how the Mickey Mouse was their icon, and they done a whole hour-long documentary about it. And I feel like that was just to kind of remind people that that's who he was and why he was important, because obviously now this has happened. And so ongoing, more and more of their characters, as well as the other versions of Mickey, will go into the public domain. So I have to stress that you are only able to use the Steamboat Willie version. So as you can see here, his eyes are completely different. He doesn't have the white gloves on. These are all things that we have come to know Mickey Mouse for, but you cannot use them. So I find it interesting. They basically were able to bide themselves some time using I think it was called the Sony Bravo copyright law, which extended it by X number of years. So it gave them like 90 years as opposed to like the 75 or whatever it was. So they were able to extend it, but now all bets are off. Now, to be fair, it is still their trademark. So you can use it, but you can't pretend to be Disney. You can't just slap him as your logo and make out that you are now a Disney Channel or something like that. So there are, you've got to tread very carefully, which is why I find it so interesting as well. Because, yes, okay, you've got Steamboat Willie. Yes, you can create something. And I know they've done it with the Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey kind of thing. But there's not really much that you can do with this, if I'm being totally honest. It's very basic, because unless you're just going to say, well, now he can control water like Hydro Man or shoot lasers from his eyes, there's not really much else you can add to it to make it all that interesting,
that's
in my opinion.
Luke. That's part 2.
So they can legally make this what looks like it's going to be a bloody mental movie. This movie about Steamboat Willie, Mickey, basically. Is that right?
Yeah, but see, so already they've got gloves on. They got white gloves, so they've already broken the law by doing that. Disney will come after him big time.
Okay. Now, I haven't seen the Winnie the Pooh one of these.
Great.
It looks... Charlie, I know you're the same as me. You like a good horror movie.
Yeah.
The Winnie the Pooh one's worth watching, is it?
Oh, do you know what? It's a hot mess, but it's great to watch. It's awesome. If you've got nothing to do for an hour and a half, and it's just it is what it is. It's not going to win any awards, but it's funny. It's a good watch.
Yeah, you're not watching for plot. You're not watching for plot.
Not at all.
I mean, yeah, I will watch it. I have to say, this does have us interested. Now, Efren, I know you love a good scary horror story. Is this what are you going to rush to see this this version of Mickey?
No way. I'm not going to see this. I'll wait for you and James to do a review on it. Then I'll make my decision whether I want to see it or not. I just don't understand it. They've had this character for about 90 years, I think Luke said, and it's just became public now. What about the rest of the characters like Donald Duck and Goofy? Will that ever be coming out for public domain?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't understand the logistics of the legal ramifications of it, but it's the same. Using a comic context, it's the same as Alan Moore's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, isn't it?
Yeah.
All of those kind of, Jekyll and Hyde and Sherlock Holmes and things like that. After they've been published for, I think it's 100 years or something like that, it becomes public domain, and you can use the characters or their likenesses.
Does this include Marvel characters and DC characters? Not to get into
I don't.
Eventually, yeah, I would say. Wow. But I mean, it just like Disney extended the copyright through, either different laws in other countries or through partnership things. Like, I don't think Marvel is going to be letting go of the first version of any of their corner or keystone superheroes anytime soon. So I'm shocked they actually let this lapse with Steamboat Willie. I figured they would have done something to keep it in house, but I think maybe they're thinking like the controversy and the random content that comes from this will maybe get people back into. I don't know what the.
Yeah, it's interesting. Chris Bell, I think he's read the premise.
That is the synopsis. That's
the synopsis. Syphilis-riddled maniac Mickey on a murder spree on the docks. I mean, I would watch that. That sounds interesting to me.
It won't be Mickey though, because that's copyright.
Yeah.
Willie.
Yeah. What I would say is, if you want to know a little bit more about this copywriting kind of topic, do go check out Luke's video over on Hydra Collectibles, because it must be a year or so ago. You did
it was. So do you know what it was, Peter? I got the dates wrong. So last year I thought that's when it was. So with a little bit of rejiggery with the title,
one job, Luke.
I was able to. Well, to be fair, I mean, like, I didn't know they were going to extend it the way that they did and everything anyway. And so I understood that it was coming. I didn't realize it was the 1st of January, when that is actually copyright day. That's when everything shifts over. So I did put out the video a bit prematurely, but it's picking up steam again, no pun intended.
I like that. That's good. Yeah. Steam. Yay.
Have you guys seen the Kickstarter for the video game that's coming from this loss of the Steamboat Willie IP? So if you go on to Google and you look up Steamboat Willie Boomer Shooter, it's like those big gun like first person perspective. No, it's basically like Cuphead, but first person perspective. It's like Mickey shooting missiles and blowing apart other animated characters. It looks pretty fun. That's what I'm in the loss of IP for. That's the one that I'm going to be on as soon as that gets funded and comes out.
Charlie's backing it now. Look at him. I can tell.
I'm on there. I'm watching it, and it looks.
Awesome. Does it look dope? It looks super cool.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Mickey like pulling out a knife and like.
Good stuff. Interesting stuff. Thank you for that, Luke. I didn't even know this was a bloody thing. I didn't know that there was a Minecraft movie coming out. Minecraft's probably beyond my age range, I have to say. It's not something I've played, but it's starring Jason Momoa, and Jack Black has signed up to do it. Is this something you guys were aware of or excited about? You
didn't know, Pete? We're living in Minecraft right now, man.
Is that right?
We're just There's everything Minecraft will happen eventually. Not surprised, but I mean, it's Jack Black, so I'll probably watch it if it's streaming or something.
Yeah. I mean, I loved him in the Mario movie, I have to say. Any of you guys play Minecraft? Is this something I told you?
My kids are massively into Minecraft, so I've got like 3 boys that kind of play it, and the eldest is like amazing at it. So he's kind of he kind of plays Fortnite and Minecraft, and he's kind of flipping between the two, building stuff and then fighting. It's wicked. So I was kind of aware of this, and I'll play it now and again. And it is, even though it's a pixelated game, and we're living in the age of 4K gaming and everything like that, it's still enjoyable. And so I'm definitely looking forward to the film.
And those pixels look 4K in the game now. Like the quality of the graphics has gone up. It's like how South Park uses cutting edge technology to edit their paper cutout characters, Yeah.
Efren, you strike us as a Minecraft kind of guy. Yeah.
Nope, never played it.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
I still play Pong. You know.
Nice.
It's a great game. It's a great game.
It's a classic.
Nothing's wrong with
classic. Yeah.
Did you guys hear about the kid who just beat Tetris? The 13-year-old who just beat Tetris for the first time since it came out.
Yeah. The biggest concern was the newswoman in Australia that tried to like mock him for it.
Really?
I'll fight that lady.
She said something about like, as a mum, I hope you put down the video games and go outside. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like this kid is just enjoying himself.
Your kid is a legend.
Yeah,
chill, lady.
Absolutely, he's done something that no one else has done since the game was released.
Yeah.
Crackers.
Anyways,
Luke, anything about Minecraft from yourself? I don't know if you've ever played it.
I'm not interested in Minecraft whatsoever.
Yeah. The only time I think it ever piqued my interest, my son Thomas showed us a video of someone who built this. I mean, it was spectacular. This kind of world on Minecraft, you know. So the architecture and stuff was phenomenal, but yeah, it's not for me, I have to say. This is interesting. So this is a little bit of interest. Don't know if you guys saw this. There was an interview with, I can't remember what his job title is, but somebody for Marvel, basically. I think it was the director of digital content or something like that. In the interview, I said to them, you know, in one of the recent Spider-Man movies, you gave with a hint that Avengers Tower has been sold. Are we going to ever get a kind of a resolution to that? Or we're going to find out who's bought Avengers Tower? And the guy got quite uncomfortable and said, yes, it's on its way. It's coming. So Avengers Tower will still play a part in the MCU, but it won't be Avengers Tower. So I'm interested. Who do you guys think has bought it? Where do you think it's going? There are some obvious options, I think, but I'll let you guys start first. We'll start with you, Efren. What do you think is going to be rebranded as?
Oh my God! Is this like is this for the movies, right? The cinematic
movies and TV shows.
Man, I could see Dr. Doom buying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it would be like a Latvia embassy or something like that.
Yeah.
What about you, Charlie?
I'm going to say I reckon J. Jonah Jameson's bought it.
Right? Daily Bugle.
Yes.
Daily Bugle. That would be interesting. Yeah, that would be interesting. We've got Grey Man here. Nice to see you, bud. Hope you are well. Lots of people are coming out with what I think is one of the most
That's what I was going to say.
So, Kev, you think Baxter
Reed
Building?
Richards, baby. The Fantastic Four Tower for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Good
that
stuff.
That character has been sort of like soft played and stuff already, so I feel like that's the next step.
And the logo's not too far off, let's be honest.
It's not too far. Yeah.
They can just take the A out a little bit, can't they?
Exactly.
Luke. So there's one more, Luke, that I think is.
Well, I'll tell you
likely.
what it's not.
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you 100% what it's not. It's not going to be Oscorp.
No, it's not Oscorp. Yeah.
No.
I agree with that.
Purely because of this whole deal with Sony and everything else. They're not going to do similar to what I say similar, it's not even the same, but the whole instance with the whole Kang thing and putting everything on one actor, they're not going to put everything on a deal with Sony. They're not going to risk that. So I think this is going to be the Baxter Building. Potentially you could say maybe Kingpin, but I think it's more likely to be the Baxter Building, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah. So I think Baxter Building as well, but I think there's been a lot of rumbling and rumour that in the Echo series this is going to be shown to be Fisk Tower. So, but I don't know. Is this Avengers Tower? Is that set in New York? It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it makes sense, I suppose. But the last time we saw the Kingpin, he was nowhere near as wealthy to buy. I don't think the Baxter Tower is. So yeah, I think we're going Baxter.
Well, Deadpool, what you said, like, so today they announced that obviously, like, not Deadpool, sorry, Daredevil is going to be canon in the new Echo thing. So again, that might tie into it.
Yeah. Luke's getting ready to knock off.
Do you know what?
He's already got it.
Do you know what? I'm not going to lie. I've been looking at the Avengers one. Yeah. I love it, right? Because everyone gets so upset about like knockoff Lego, but we'll all go out and buy third-party action figures everywhere else.
Very true.
But no, absolutely. Like this is the beauty of it as well, right? So things like that Lego set or other play sets, if they're gonna make it somebody else's building, they just retool it. Like it's gonna be so easy for them to resell it again. It's a moneymaker all year round.
Of course. Yeah.
Grey Man, you're absolutely right. It was Avengers Mansion to start with, but then in the later run, they did get an Avengers Tower, I think. But the Mansion was my heyday of reading comics.
Yeah.
Luke, this is interesting. CGC.
Yes, I have thoughts. So CGC have come out with, we're going to now start slabbing DVDs and Blu-rays, and it was kind of inevitable. Like we knew that this was coming. You know,
Weird.
It's been done before by other companies, but CGC coming on board with it, okay. And I do see why it has happened. And yes, I am a physical media collector, and I make a lot of videos on my channel about physical media. But this is not for me. Like there are better things from the movie world to encapsulate and collect than the actual disc itself. And I get it. There's some nice boxes, there's nice art and everything else. But I'd rather have posters, lobby cards, leaflets, all of that stuff that makes sense to be slabbed and looked after. When it comes to the actual movie, you want to watch it.
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing.
Like, and I get what people might say, oh, but then you're not reading your comics and stuff like that. And I get that as well. You can make that argument. But when it comes to the movies, I honestly don't care what the box is like. You know, I want the best quality film. You know, I want to buy, if I buy a 4K, I don't care what case it comes in. I care that the disc itself works and does what it provides. So I can see why people like this. I can see why it exists. I don't think it's going to be as big as other collectibles are in the market.
I mean, it's I have to say, definitely not for me. Kev, is this something got to come short-boxed this way?
No, I mean, there's all the graded other verticals of collectibles that we hope eventually that our framework we've built for comics just maps real easily into that, because it'd be great to expand what we offer on the app. Yeah, I got a couple thoughts on this. First and foremost, like every other graded VHS movie service right now looks better than those mock-ups right there.
Yeah.
Like those that's not a really good if that's what they're trying to market to the public to get people excited about it, I think they need to maybe take another pass at that.
It was another cover before, and I think someone's cut it open and then just made their own one.
I mean, if they want to get into it, I mean, it makes sense to me that they would be one of the companies that gets into grading this stuff. But then I have a bunch of questions. Does that mean, I see it says sealed there, does that mean that they're grading the condition if it's open of the movie itself and the case, and then averaging, like what? A lot of questions on how that's going to play out in a way that translates to value on a secondary market. These are also not hard to find. Like, I don't understand why you grade a Blu-ray movie that is easily obtainable through a number of dollar auctions on eBay. I don't know, man. Like a lot of those high numbers, VHS sales that happened previously, where it was like millions of dollars for this one VHS movie. Like, I don't think that that's sustainable. We certainly haven't seen many more of those sales happening during the non-peak pricing period of COVID. So it feels weird to me to get into a new collectible space before maybe the market has recovered from post-COVID stuff, and if people actually want that. But, as CGC is a big partner of ours, so I'm going to say, CGC, do what you do, man. I hope it looks beautiful and everyone loves it, but this is probably not something I'm going to dive in on my collecting with.
Yeah, me neither. Dr. Von Hoot's just saying that there are limited Blu-rays.
Fair.
Which is niche, Charlie, how about yourself? Is this something that you would get into?
I really don't see the point of it. I'm very much like Luke. Like, I've got kids that have watched films and VHSs and DVDs and stuff, and like, I couldn't. Happy birthday, little one. What's this for? Do you know what I mean? You kind of want to watch it. I think this is just a physical media that doesn't need to be done in this way. It's just another cash grab.
I can understand. I can understand if you're all in on just watching digital and you have your hard drives, or you have like your streaming services, or however you wish to do it, and you just want something that represents your favorite movie of all time. Like, I can see like maybe someone wants to grade their Lord of the Rings box set, for example, because that is their number one movie. I can see why they might want that, and it makes perfect sense that CGC do this. They do everything from coins to comics to lobby cards. Like, they do everything, right? So it makes total sense for them to have this. But
this one right here, I think that's literally how it will roll out for all of us.
But I think the movie buffs, like myself, like Dr. Von Hoot, and like many other people here, both on the stream and in the chat, we like watching the movie. Like, if you're going to buy a movie physically, it's because you want to watch it. The reason why I collect physical media is because if it gets changed elsewhere by like censoring or anything like that, I've still got a copy. What good is that copy if it's sealed and locked away in a slab? I want to watch it. That's the point. That's the reason.
And how
to buy.
thick are these slabs going to be? If it actually
They're going to be like boxes, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be like boxes with a silly little tab on the top, which will just have the label in it.
Yeah, I don't like that mock-up, that CGC mock-up. Just like if we had other pictures of the other graded VHS movies and we looked at those cases and how they look, I mean, there's just a level of polish and like trial and error that they've gone through many iterations to make it look as nice as it does. And that's really where you're going to shine, because no one's going to be immediately invested in this new market unless they're already a part of it. So you got to make it visually appealing.
Got to make it attractive, haven't you?
Yeah.
Speaking of attractive, Efren, what do you think about this, mate? Is this something you would pick up?
Well, I'm assuming CGC did their due diligence and looked into this before they even brought it out. Is there a market for this? And obviously there might be a market for this, but it wouldn't hold my interest at all. I mean, what Luke is saying, I have Blu-rays and DVDs, and I like opening them up and looking at them and putting them in my player, but it's not for me. I'll never get into it. Even the VHS ones, I have the original Star Wars in VHS, but it's just I think it's pretty cool to have, but I don't have a VHS anymore, but it's still pretty cool to have. But I wouldn't do it in case. I mean, the only case that I ever do, and even now I don't do them as much, it's just comic books. For me, it's just comic books or nothing else.
I do like all the objections that Von Hoot's putting up. You're right. There people collect, just like with variants. People collect variants for the cover. Like there will be a market for this. People will dive in.
100%. I've fallen into the trap myself. Like
everyone has.
I've got a collection of steelbooks that I bought solely for the cover, but for the cover and packaging, but I've justified those, at least to myself. My wife might say otherwise. I was really into collecting movie posters. That was my first passion, my first love. And I've got a lot of movie posters, but nowhere to put them. That's the biggest trouble because they're so big. So what I'd done was I purchased the steelbooks that were the movie posters. Right?
There you go.
So I've got the entire set of Jurassic Park steelbooks, all with the Jurassic Park logos for each film, and I love those, but that's enough for me, and that's fine, and I don't need them graded either. Like I just have those on a shelf for one purpose, which is that I can admire the artwork. They're all nicely embossed and everything else, so I do get it. I do understand why people do it.
I think it's exactly what you said before, Luke, and I think we're both, I know me and you certainly are guilty of this when it comes to our obsession with childhood cartoons and things. It's about having something from your memory or whatever represented in some form in your collection. And if for someone that's grading a DVD of a favourite film, fair enough, it's not for me, but I can see why people would do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you'll have some guy in his office somewhere, big like skyscraper with a big desk and everything, and he'll just have his favourite movie graded on the side corner. Like that'll be his
used as a paperweight or something like that. Next question for you guys. So I talked about this, I think it was on the show we did Efren a little while ago, about that they're getting, the Spirit of Vengeance is getting a new host, which I'm a little bit suspect about, but anyway. But it's come out this week that this is going to be somebody who shouldn't have the Spirit of Vengeance attached to them. So it's been hinted that it's going to be a Marvel villain. So who would you like to see from the current Marvel villain stable getting the powers of the Spirit of Vengeance? Charlie, we'll start with you.
Gosh,
I can't even think. Come back to me. Let me have a think about it because I wasn't aware of this thing. I've missed this.
So I'll start off. I mean, it's been done 100 times and it's probably cliche, but I think having the Green Goblin as a Spirit of Vengeance would look cool. You could do a lot with his Goblin glider. You could make him look pretty exciting, I think. And I know you would argue that there's been various Hell Goblin, I think that's the right name, and all that. Is it Demon Goblin or something, Luke? I can't remember.
Red Goblin.
Yep.
Yeah, Red Goblin recently.
A whole load of them.
Yeah, but I think that could look pretty cool. Luke, I'll come to you next and give Charlie some breathing space.
Yeah, so basically that you went for my pick. I do luckily have a second. So first of all, I will say it makes a lot of sense to be Norman Osborn because I think he's gone through a bit of a change of heart, hasn't he? He had the whole the Sin Eater storyline and everything else, and he's somewhat of a good guy now, albeit that we know he's a villain, from history. So it makes sense if he gets this ability, and like you say, his glider and everything could be amazing. Given the other character that Marvel loves to just use over and over again and completely destroy, it'd end up being Cletus Cassidy Carnage.
Yeah.
Like, let's face it, it's going to be one of those two characters, I'm sure.
Because he's back at the moment, isn't he, Cletus Cassidy?
He is.
He's been reborn through some weird cells. I don't know what
He's been reborn so many times.
Yeah, I read the issue and I didn't know what was going on. It was very confusing.
Or maybe it's Venom's tongue. I hear it's a whole new character of its own.
Yeah, his tongue was turned into a character in itself, wasn't it? Mental. Yep. Efren, how about yourself?
God, I really don't care who they pick as a villain for this. I don't think it's a good choice. But if we're picking somebody, I'm going to pick somebody that's been a villain sometimes and she has not been a villain sometimes. I'm going for a stretcher. I think I would like to see the Scarlet Witch.
Oh, good call.
Very cool.
She's got mystical powers already, and she has been a villain at times, but I just don't think I don't think it should be a villain at all.
Yeah. Interesting. Kev?
I'm kind of with Efren. Like, I don't care too much who it is, but I do think that they should not give it to Mephisto. That would piss me off.
Yeah.
He's already been like the background villain / foreground villain this entire like new reboot of. But I like the idea of Osborn, because now I'm curious to see if like what powers Ghost Rider still has once the Spirit of Vengeance leaves.
Yeah.
Because if he's still lighting any vehicle he touches on fire, then that's cool. Hopefully that power doesn't transfer to whoever gets the Spirit of Vengeance. But if that's part of the powers that transfer, then I'd say Osborn for the glider reasons and things like that.
Would look cool. Yeah. Just before we come to you, Charlie, Von Hoot saying Frank Castle, they've done that, haven't they, with
hell
Cosmic
yeah.
Ghost Rider.
Hell yeah.
Ghost Rider is superb.
He's been Frankenstein, so
you are
Frankenstein for a bit. Yeah,
he was Frankenstein's monster. Yeah.
To be fair, Efren, I don't know if you've read that initial. I think it's the list. The first issue is called Wolverine versus Punisher, and it's is his son called Daken? Wolverine's son, is it Daken? Yeah. And that's a brutal fight. He cuts him to pieces, slices him up and dices, and it's a really good comic book. Actually, it's a good read. Charlie, you've had more than enough time.
Right, so I've had a think. I am looking at this. Right, I'm going to play this totally left field. Do you remember Strange Academy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so Doyle Dormammu.
Whoa! Go Charlie.
All the way through Strange Academy, he was kind of building up. He was always compared to his dad, and he was kind of setting things about this big thing. Yeah. Could you imagine that? That would be.
I got goosebumps.
If this happens, I'm calling it now. I'm calling this now if it does happen. So you heard it here first.
Very cool. That's a good. It's nice. A nice callback, that one, because I love that character. Actually, it's very cool.
Yeah. And I don't think that would alienate the fans. People know Dormammu was part of that cast of characters. That would be a really good move. Also, bring all those Strange Academy diehards back into a mainstream title. Like, that would be super cool. That's a good idea.
If you're listening.
Yeah.
And
if they mess it up, we'll know what the problem was. They didn't listen to Charlie.
Yeah.
That was it. There we
go.
If
they do pick that up, Charlie, obviously this is on my channel, so it's copyrighted. So I get any royalties for that.
And for the record,
we all get it.
For the record, when we first started, Peter introduced me as his partner, so I get half.
Is that why I had to sign an NDA before I got on the podcast today?
I was introduced as royalty, so I trump you all.
Okay, we'll end on something positive, shall we? I'm not going to talk a lot about this, guys. There's tons of YouTube videos out about it. I've done 2 myself, so please feel free to go check that out. But CGC have put another statement out saying that they estimate around about 350 books have been affected. I just want your take on this. I'm sure you all know about the issue. If you don't, shout out. But Luke, I'll start with you, mate. What's your thoughts on this recent excitement?
Okay, so for starters, number one, 350 odd books or whatever it is just probably the tip of the iceberg. Probably going to have more than that. Yeah. But then number two, and without causing any offense to yourself or anyone else who has made a video about this, I think CGC have done exactly what we want them to do. I think that all these people who are like throwing their toys out the pram and saying, oh, this is the end of comic book grading, this, that, and the other. It's like, what more do you want? They are literally taking the hit for you. They are giving you all of the paper trail, all of the data to ensure that you are safe, and they're saying that they're gonna make it good. Like, if anything, that makes me want to use CGC more.
Yeah,
like
no, I agree.
it fully. They've won me over with this. I was always a bit touch and go when it came to slabs, and I was like, I don't really care all that much either way. And then there's the whole debate between CBCS, which is obviously a much bigger company for authenticating and everything else in the collector space as a whole. When it comes to sports memorabilia and everything else, CBCS was like there way before CGC. But this is just CGC have proven to me that they can be trusted and that they will resolve a problem if needed. So I say this is only going to work in their favor.
Yeah. So I absolutely agree, and that's pretty much what I say in my video as well, the one that I did. I think the scary thing is, have you guys seen the video about the guy who uses the heat gun to open?
That was terrifying. Yeah,
that's more worry, because that bypasses CGC completely. That's nothing to do with the company. That's just,
and it's a pair of forceps and a friggin' hairdryer. I mean, it's it's like the worst MacGyver reboot ever.
I'd watch it though.
I'd watch it. Yeah. Efren, what you've got a lot of big key books, Efren. I have to say, when I saw the list and there was an EF15 on there, I was like, shit, they're bad. An EF15. What did you think of it, Bud?
I mean, I like Luke's point. I mean, they're doing everything that they can, to make everybody happy. But just me personally, when I used to be so much into CGC, I mean, like every time just getting so many books CGC'd, I think on a personal note, I'm just kind of done with getting books CGC'd. I'm not saying I'm not going to buy them anymore. If I buy them, like if I go on SHORTBOX, if I see something I like, I'm going to, if I want them, put a bid on it or buy it. But as far as me sending them into CGC, I'm done. Even if I got an AF15, it was wasn't graded, I would just have it and look at it and admire it and read it.
But Efren, you sending it in is safer than anything else because you've seen the book.
Yeah,
like, but you're doing it backwards, because the biggest concern is that you're going to buy a book that's been tampered with.
Well, I mean, I'll check the certification number to make sure ahead of time if it's been tampered with or not. But I mean, another thing is, I think CGC needs to have people when it was the same person who was sending in these books constantly. Didn't that raise a red flag to them? Hey, this person's sending the same book all the time. That's what I don't understand about.
Because there was a crazy amount of, for example, Amazing Spider-Man 300. It was like just lists of book after 9.8 after 9.8.
Yeah.
Kev, I mean, you're obviously in the industry, as it were. How has this rocked your world?
In the trenches, so to speak. I completely understand, and I feel like people are justified in their loss of faith in CGC. But I also agree that CGC is doing what we want them to do and what they can do. I don't think that all the people that were... So basically what would happen is CGC made an announcement immediately after the news broke. Everyone would consider that tone deaf, because it's still going to come from legal. It's still going to be very by the numbers, and they're going to read it and be like, this doesn't address our outrage at all. It's like, well, they're not here to necessarily address the outrage. They're here to provide a solution to hopefully make you whole. And I understand that maybe the lack of transparency around what sort of compensation will be available is a little concerning for people, considering they've already been bit by this situation. But I mean, what else is CGC supposed to do? It's literally, in terms of the pyramid of things that CGC does, it's the bottom of the freaking pyramid. I get why they're not inspecting every single reholder that comes in, because they come in all the time. The shipping sucks. It's plastic. It breaks. I'm sure that was a budget discussion. It's like, hey, we're going to just make this a real simple turn and burn process. And somebody figured that out. I mean, this isn't all that different than... I don't remember exactly when it was, but there was an issue. Somebody was using a loophole with CGC with the custom labels, sending in conserve grades and getting those custom blue labels back, and well, what about the conserved or the restored? It's like, there's going to be loopholes. People are going to find them. And the best we can do is plug the holes.
Absolutely.
So the thing these things are in place. It's like a locked door, right? A locked door is to keep honest people honest. It's got nothing. A bad person's going to find a way around it regardless.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
You know, and using locks as an example, you can just go on YouTube and you see a guy get into any lock.
Yeah,
You know,
That's terrifying.
every video is like, and what you thought your comics were safe in a bit of plastic?
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course,
Right.
There's always going to be someone out there. We just have to accept that this is being dealt with the best way that we can. And yeah, it's probably. I don't even see how they could make anything any better because there's still going to be someone that can do it. Like,
There's a couple ideas that I have
and stuff. Like it's ridiculous. Anyone can get into anything.
Yeah, they could do tamper-proof tape around the whole edge that like even with a blow dryer, that's going to show separation and degradation on the adhesive. They could, I mean, they literally scan all of the books they grade, so they could just quickly cross-check the visual versus what they have in hands when they're reholdering. I would imagine they could probably even use like AI to pick out, is this book the same as this book? They don't need to have, I mean, there's concerns that AI wouldn't be as effective as humans at doing that, and why the grading process is still done by humans. But when you're comparing apples to apples, it should be good enough to tell you whether reasonably this book is the same. Like the Hulk 181 that got brought up in that thread, it's like, that is so obviously a different book. That and the whole reason this got noticed to begin with is like the guy had been doing this for so long, he got maybe lazy and stopped putting books in that closely matched the ones that he was putting in. He's like, I'm gonna take this to the bank as long as I can. And I was even like sort of an apologist for the dude initially, because I saw him posting things like, I had no idea, I didn't know. And the more that's come out, I've since changed my stance. But like, that's the other thing. From the Shortbox perspective, once that list came out, we did an audit of our marketplace. We located, maybe 10 books on that list that people had listed. I can proudly say that none of these tampered with books were sold on the Shortbox app. Good for us. Yeah, good for you. And if they had been, then we would be involved in some process to make that person whole or make that better. Absolutely. That's our responsibility as a marketplace. So I know eBay's helping out people where sales happened. Their buyer support is pretty awesome. To be fair. And what we did was we just reached out to our sellers that had it listed like, hey man, not sure if you're following along. Your book popped up in this list. We're not saying you did anything wrong. Here's the info for CGC. Just reach out to them. We had to take your book down because we don't want to perpetuate any more sales for this item. Just go get another cert code, a new label, and we can get it relisted and we'll promote it and we'll try to help you sell it.
Brilliant. It's all really proactive stuff, which is fantastic. How about yourself, Charlie? Any thoughts on this?
I basically, everything else that everyone else has said, I would also go with the Ethan Hunt Mission Impossible. If you try to tamper with it, it self-detonates in 5 seconds. Go with that.
Melts the book.
And then I would also say that CGC, they can't do anything else. They've turned the shitstorm into probably one of the best customer service swerves that they're going to be able to do. They can't do physically anymore. So yeah, that's kind of it.
I mean, I absolutely agree. And like I say, I've done a couple of videos on this, and my stance is very much that, as I tried to make clear, forgery happens in every kind of market.
Everything.
There are pricks out there who will try and circumvent the systems and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think CGC have done a really good response to this and try to pick it up as best they can.
Yeah.
The guy, really sounds sick to say it, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because that guy should be banged up,
hoisted up by his thumbs, man. Yeah.
How was this discovered? I never looked at all the YouTube videos except for Peter's, but how was this discovered that they found
there was a record-breaking sale of a Mark Jeweler version of a book that was a reholdered version, and when somebody did a little research, it turns out the book, first of all, the wrap was wrong. It was the wrong book internally. And the previous one before the reholder wasn't a Mark Jewelers. So this guy was either like marrying Mark Jewelers into the books or just swapping stuff out that were different grades in order to capitalize on that insane jump from a 9.4 to a 9.8. And then he still has the 9.8 that he can send out to get graded or whatever the case is. So it's just sort of a snowball effect once that got revealed.
Or was it last year or the year before? There was a guy who put out a video on YouTube saying how it faked a signature, sent it off to CGC, and it came back as a CGC signature graded.
That's also something that I think CGC could improve, is just like tightening up their signature witness program, because at this point, in order to cover all of the the 100 conventions that are around the country every year, they have these really disconnected teams that are managed by good people at CGC, but like who's watching the Watchmen, like you got to have somebody, and ultimately I think the entire hobby could benefit from like some board of authorities that can like standardize the grades that are being used, double check the processes, make sure things align with industry standards. I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
Yeah,
but,
Andy's just put a wiki comment in the chat.
Yeah, should be employed by CGC. Isn't that what they did with the guy from Catch Me If You Can? Who was doing all the check frauds?
So the thing about that is none of that's true.
Is it not? No. Hey, it was Tom. It was Tom Hanks. It must have been true.
So the Catch Me If You Can, it's a good thing to bring up actually, because the Catch Me If You Can story and the scenario and everything else, like, what's more believable? It's like Occam's razor, isn't it? What's more believable, that this guy done all those things and has this set up life, or that he just wrote a book about someone who'd done all those things? It's when you actually look into it, like the times when he says that he was doing things elsewhere, he was actually in jail or doing something else. Like, unfortunately, he's just a successful con man.
Luke, stop it! You're spoiling my film.
Sorry,
it's a great film, and it's got comic references in it as well.
It does.
He pretends he's Barry Allen, doesn't he, or something? Dead Man, I don't know about this. I don't know if any of you guys know. We don't know that he's actually submitted books to other companies.
I don't think so. Or there's difference in the way that the stuff's graded with the companies. I think CBCS actually has the label inside the same Mylar well that the book's in, or something like that. The case is also a lot more sturdy. I think even with CBCS cases, when you click it shut, there's tabs that you have to physically break in order to open the case.
Okay.
So there's differences in how they operate.
Interesting stuff. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be interesting watching how this plays out over the next few months. So going to be interesting stuff. I just wanted to mention this briefly, guys. As those of you that are on my channel a lot will know, that any funds I raise in this channel goes to mental health charities. I got monetized a couple of months back, and we're up to £35. So when that hits £60, we'll put a poll out to see what mental health charities we want to donate to. So just to give you a bit of an update on where we're at 35
great stuff,
at the moment. Okay, going to quickly rattle through what we've been reading recently. I'll start off. I've decided to jump back into this. This is The Nasty by John Lees, who's a phenomenal writer of Sync and a whole host of other books. Really enjoy his writing style. Sadly, this hasn't been blown me away. I would say I've read issue 4, 5, and 6 today, and it's got better. Issue 5 in particular was really enjoyable, but it's not as good as Sync, I don't think. Any of you guys been reading this?
Yeah, I've jumped back into this. I've kind of got my head back on and thinking, look, it's not Alex Cormack doing the art. It's not what we're used to from John Lees and stuff. So but it's okay. It's not his best work.
I haven't been reading this book, but issue 1, there's a picture of a cash register with like stickers on it, and my alma mater comic shop that I manage, their sticker is on is on the first cover.
That's cool. I mean, I don't know if you've ever met him, Kevin, but John Lee, he's been on my channel a few times. He's a really, really nice guy.
Excellent.
A book he does called Sync is just phenomenal.
I love Sync. It's
superb. One of my favorite books.
You have to be careful when you're in a shop recommending that to someone. They're like, hey, look at this page. Does this clown nose full of nails bother you? Okay, that's not for you.
I'll have to, next time you're on the show, I'll dig it out and show you. So Alex Cormack, the artist on it, again, is a friend of the show. We do an art show once a month. So Alex comes on.
Oh, cool.
But he's done me a cover of me being pulled into the back of a van with the clown nose put on.
Nice.
It's phenomenal. It's amazing. So love it. I've also read this. Speaking of Alex, this is Alex Cormack on art on Drive Like Hell. I am loving this. I recommend this to everybody. It's a 4-part miniseries by Dark Horse. It's kind of Ghost Rider. The basic premise is this guy who's a superb driver has been involved in a kind of a bank heist, and he gets in this car, which is basically a demonic spirit. And in the boot of the car is the horn of the Archangel Gabriel. And he's basically being hunted down by all these demons and angels. And it's just easy reading fun, So I really would recommend that one. That's a good book. I enjoyed that one a lot. We've got Phil joining with. Nice to see you, Phil. Hope you're well, my friend. Last book from me I'm going to mention, guys. I am friggin' loving this. This is Dracula by James Tynion and Martin Simmons. This is issue number 3. This is a retelling of Bram Stoker's Dracula. The art style on it, it's the same artist that did Department of Truth.
Yeah.
I didn't particularly get away with Department of Truth myself, but the art on this, it suits the book so well. It's stunning. It's a great read. So would recommend you picking this one up as well. What have you guys been reading? Anything anybody wants to talk about? Any books you've been reading at the moment?
I just read this bad boy, Where the Body Was. I'm a huge Brubaker Phillips fan. I reread, Incognito at least once a year, Sleeper whenever I can. But yeah, just if you're into crime noir or like quirky crime stories with just gorgeous, like drop dead gorgeous art, you can't go wrong with Brubaker and Phillips. This one's about a small town in I'll just read a boarding house full of junkies, a neglected housewife, a young girl who thinks she's a superhero, and a cop who wants some peace and quiet, and a private detective looking for a runaway girl. Yeah. All of that in this little book. Super. And yeah, it's just bananas.
Sean Phillips quite often goes to Thought Bubble, the convention we go to, and he was there last year, I think.
Yeah.
Got him to sign Killer Be Killed, a couple of volumes ago. He's
so good.
Yeah,
so good.
And he's a lovely, lovely guy. Really nice bloke. Yeah. Anybody else read anything you want to mention?
I'm kind of reading at the moment. I'm on like a Daniel Warren Johnson vibe. So as you know, well, Transformers. I'm reading like I kind of bought a load the other day. So I'm reading Extremity, Murder Falcon, and then reading Wonder Woman,
Dead Earth.
Dead Earth.
Yeah, I got all the covers of that. I couldn't resist. I'm not a cover hunter, and I had to get the A and B for that entire set.
Yeah. But then I'm kind of reading like Beneath the Trees, which Peter pointed out is
holy crap.
And
so good.
Kill Your Darlings, which is
very good as well.
So it's a good time for comics and stuff like that. So yeah,
it's a good time for indie comics, I would say, Charlie.
Yeah.
Good time for violent horror-based indie comics, especially. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Luke, Efren, anything from you guys?
I've been reading the book you recommended, Peter, The Devil Wears My Face, I think.
Yeah. Alex Cormack again and all.
Such a good story. It's about a priest who goes to an exorcism, and the person possessed, the demon jumps from him to the priest, and nobody knows it. And the priest goes back to the Vatican, basically, and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
There's been a good story so far. I really have enjoyed that.
What was that movie that came out in the early 2000s with Denzel Washington and John Goodman with the evil spirit jumping from body? Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, because it was at the end of it, it's left a bit ambiguous, isn't it?
Yeah, I think at the end, someone looks over and whistles the little tune that the murderer is whistling. Yeah.
Fallen it was.
Yeah, Fallen.
Yeah.
So good.
Good film.
So
good film.
Yeah.
I've been reading The Ribbon, too. That's a trippy ass book.
The what?
Man. The Ribbon, I think it's called, right? When the people...
Ribbon Queen. Yeah.
Ribbon Queen. Sorry,
Queen.
The Ribbon. Sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you said something else then. I heard something else.
Yeah, Ribbon Queen is
Ribbon
tremendous.
Queen. Sorry, guys.
It's freaky as anything, but it's very cool.
Yeah.
Luke, how about yourself? Anything from you?
No, so the kids are still off because of Christmas, and so it's just taken up all of my free time, unfortunately. But I've got a whole pile of books here ready to read as soon as they go back on Monday.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, chaps, I just wanted to mention this. Now, Charlie tried to explain this on the Killer Comic Show the other day, and I think he had a stroke halfway through. So I'm going to try and explain it in a little bit more detail. Myself and also the guys over on the Killer Comic Show have teamed up with Slabbed Crusaders, which is an amazing online comic shop here over in the UK who do slabs, raw comics and all kinds of stuff. They're absolutely superb. And they're starting to do a monthly comic box in which you get 6 comic books that are picked by the UK comic, the comic community. It can be by anyone, I guess. So the way this is going to work, and it is quite complicated, me and Charlie have tried to get our heads around it, is the first comic on the box will be picked by the Slab Crusader team. Second comic will be picked by their community. Third comic is picked by me, so that's my choice of book. So you know you're probably going to get something horror related. Book 4 will be put up on this channel, on the Saturday show, for the community to vote on. So we'll give you a list of 3 books, and you pick which of those 3 books you want to go in the box. Comic 5, picked by Charlie and by Tom, and then book 6 will be picked by the Killer Comics Show community in the same way as I've just described for mine. So basically, you get 6 books in your box. You get 2 by Slabbed Crusader, and then the rest will be picked by the community and by myself and Charlie and Tom.
But wait, Pete, there's also more.
There's more
ratios as well.
Yeah. So ratios will be added in. That's a slide too far, Charlie. There'll be ratios added into this as well. That's when it's all going to kind of go live, but you'll see it on the channel as it comes up. Price of that is going to be $19.99 stacked a month, or $23.99 stacked for 6 comics, which I think is incredibly reasonable.
Yeah.
The way Slabbed Crusader works is he stacks the books for you, so every few months you can just get a whole pile of books sent to you at a reduced postage cost, or you can get it sent out straight away for 24 quid. So yeah, worth looking at. It's a great setup, so recommend you check that out. And as Chris says, great value for some good comics.
Yeah.
Are these new books only, like for?
Yeah, it's like the advanced orders, the new books coming out, mate. Yeah. So that's his website as well. If you want to go check out some of the stuff he puts up on there, he's got some great deals. Okay, what you been buying? I want to quickly start off with me. I've mentioned this loads of times. Anybody that's into Star Trek knows I love Star Trek. This is a 1/6 scale Locutus of Borg, one of my favourite characters. I think the likeness of Patrick Stewart is very cool on that. So that's my first Star Trek 1/6 scale figure to go with my other hot toys and whatnot. But yeah, I think it's tremendous, very cool.
They did a really good job of making him look like younger Picard. In that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris Bell, he's sick of seeing Bjorn now. Up yours, Chris. Up yours. No, so they did a first contact version of him as well. But the figure was awful. The head sculpt was terrible. His nose was massive. I don't know what was going on. So yeah, but Locutus is one of my favourite characters, so went for that. Right, whilst I show some books off, we're going to do a giveaway for the night. So hashtag shortboxed in the comments, ladies and gents. Stick hashtag shortboxed in and you'll be entered into the giveaway. What we'll give you in the giveaway is, as usual, let's just make myself big. Let's look. You'll get your pack of playing cards that were kindly given to us by, I can't remember who it was, HRO Hero. So you get a pack of them. You'll get an independent comic by our pal Kev Wells. So this is an Ashcan comic. Really beautiful story and artwork by Kevin, which is very cool. And then you'll get a selection of books from the giveaway box. Show you what's going in the giveaway box tonight. We've got that rather nice Cosmic Ghost Rider book, so that'll go in. I don't know what the shit this is. We've got a Spider-Verse book with some kind of fly thing.
Wow.
Don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah,
it's a bit trippy, isn't it? It's a bit trippy. We've got a very nice Moon Knight cover. I like that one. That's pretty sexy. We've got an Amazing Spider-Man. And we've got another Amazing Spider-Man. So they will all go in the giveaway box. I'll pop them in now. Whilst you guys, if you've got anything to show off, can show those. Luke, have you got anything you've picked up that you want to show off? You're muted, Luke.
I do. So one of my all-time favourite movies is John Carpenter's The Thing. And it's, as an ex-special effects artist, I absolutely love all of the practical effects that were done. And it's just been a real love of mine for many years. And I've got some of the comics that actually continue the story after the movie.
Oh, nice.
I've never actually gone back and read the original book that it's based upon. Ooh. And I was walking, as I do, around town, and I went into a little vintage bookshop, and I actually found a copy. So this is The Thing from Another World, or in this case, The Thing from Outer Space. And it's basically got the original story in there titled Who Goes There by John W. Campbell. And so, yeah, I'm really intrigued to go and see what the movie was adapted from, because like I say, I've never read the original source material. So that's my latest pickup.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Look, you get yourself some nice books, because I remember a while ago you've got a book that I am desperate for, The Seduction of the Innocent.
Yes.
You picked up a copy of that, didn't you?
I did, nice. Yeah. Dirt cheap as well. I was so proud.
Upsettingly cheap for someone like me. Look,
that's awesome.
Cheap. Yeah. Good stuff, Luke. I like that. I like that a lot. Charlie, have you got anything you want to show off?
Do you know what? I haven't got anything, but there's a thing over here. I think you've obviously got it in the States as well. Like Facebook Marketplace, we can kind of go around and stuff. The other day, I think it was 2 days after Christmas, someone put on, I'm giving away these books, and I was like, I had to pick them up, and it was what I showed earlier. It was the
nice.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
Very cool.
Totally free, and they are in great condition.
Yeah.
And it's just wicked sitting there reading it, because it just kind of just throws you back to days of old and watching it. And I watched the movie the other night, and it's awesome. It's so gritty.
So good.
It's awesome, and it's so good. So you're picking up stuff like that for free is wicked.
Very cool, Charlie. Very cool. Just a reminder, ladies and gents, hashtag shortboxed. Stick it in the comments to be in with a chance to win some comic books. Efren, have you got something you want to show off?
I haven't bought comic books for a couple of months now. I've been slowing down, but I did buy this one book. It's not a comic book though. It's Patrick Stewart, Making It So. I've been reading this. It's been a really good story, just about his whole life. You know, where he started from. You know, how he became who he became. You know,
yeah, that's on my list to pick up. It looks brilliant.
So yeah, I've been reading this. You know, I'm a big fan of Patrick Stewart, and of course, you know, Star Trek. So I've been reading this. It's been a good read. You know, so.
Yeah, I was looking at that one today. Actually, fancy picking that up. I love Patrick Stewart, but yeah, very cool. Kev, putting you on the spot, mate. Have you got anything you want to show off?
You know, just because everyone's showing off prose books, I found something at a steal when I was at garage sale shopping last summer. Stumbled upon a super old Wizard of Oz.
Oh, wow.
This thing is like 105 years old.
Same age as Efren. Yeah.
This was $10. The lady was like, "What do you want to give me for it?" I was like, "How's $10 sound?" She said, "I have no idea. I'll take it." And I don't think it's really worth a ton, but just cool as hell. Like all of the pages are in order and in here, but most of them are not attached to the binding.
Yeah.
Have you read it?
I flipped through it a little bit. It's in rough shape to read, but one of these days I'll get through it.
That's cool.
Beyond that, you know, it's mostly just like the Omnis that I've been rereading, and I've also started messing around with retro gaming a ton.
Charlie's
and
your man, Charlie.
it has. It's the Mayu Mini Plus. Okay. Yeah, I got Onion UI. I got like 10,000 games on it. Yeah, let's talk, man.
I'm gonna hit you up, man.
Yeah, I just went to a list of like the 50 best PlayStation 1 RPGs, and I'm working my way through like Suikoden and like all those. So
you see how happy I went then?
I saw you. Your little face lit up. Your little face lit up, Charlie. Okay, ladies and gents, last couple of seconds. Hashtag shortboxed. Stick that in the chat, and then we'll do this giveaway. Just quickly jumping to the chat. Dr. Von Hoot is saying the Spider-Fly was a character created by the directors of Across the Spider-Verse, and that's his first appearance. Oh, nice first appearance. Very cool. Okay, let's do this giveaway. So good luck, everybody. We'll hit the draw button. Oh, hang on. I haven't shared my screen, have I? Bollocks.
You got to flip the screen and show the Wheel of Misfortune.
Yeah, I haven't shared the screen. I've already started, so the winner will be... It's gone through. Hang on a second. Let's find the right button. Schoolboy error. Oh, I can see the winner. And there we go. Phil, congratulations, Phil, my friend. You have won tonight's giveaway. Apologies, you didn't see that spinning. Wasn't a fix, honest. So, Phil, congratulations, bud.
Kevin getting all funky behind.
He's got all the tools.
Do any of you guys use an Apple computer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there you can go into the camera settings at the top of your bar there, and you can turn on portrait lighting, studio lighting, and also reactions. And reactions lets you do stuff like this, where it does a laser light show, or if you're really sad and you do thumbs down, it rains.
Very cool.
And it works on every video app that you use. So there you go.
Apple camera.
I like that.
Yeah, it's just the app. You got to update your OS to whatever the recent one is, and then when you're on video and there's that green camera up in the menu bar, you have all sorts of options. So I don't have to like fiddle with studio lighting or portrait mode blur. It just auto applies it to every video I'm on.
That's very cool. I like that. Right, guys, let's pick some comics for Phil. Phil, you'll get a copy of Weeping Blade. I'm not sure if you managed to get a hold of that one, so you'll get a copy of that. Kev, we'll start with you. Tell us where to stop. Hang on. Let us make myself big. That's Kev. There we are. I'll go through the book. Just say stop randomly, bud.
Stop.
Front or back?
Back.
Same for you, Charlie.
Stop.
Front to back.
Back.
Yeah, I like it from the back. Ephraim.
Stuck that in there.
That's what she said. Front to back, Ephraim. Front to back, Ephraim. Front, yeah.
This is like the worst episode of Countdown.
Strike us as a front. Luke.
Right, forget all this like strumming it. Just go straight for the book at the very front.
The very front.
The very front.
There's the very front. Right.
Luke's quick and direct. I like that.
Yeah, Luke doesn't mess around. How many books is that? 1, 2.
I would have just taken 5 from the front as it was.
Kev, you're the guest, so last one, mate.
Stop. Front.
Front to back. Front. Right. So, this is the thicker on that one. So, Phil, these are the books coming your way. You have got an, I'll get his name on, Inyuk Lee. I know you love your Star Wars.
All right.
You've got a Mandalorian limited edition book there. So,
nice.
That's coming your way. You've also got that. Oh, the bloodied version of Moon Knight. That was I think there was 2 versions of that. There was the bloodied version and the non-bloodied version. So that's coming your way. We got that. Ooh, Supergirl.
Nice.
Action Comics 1057. That's quite a nice image of Supergirl. I like that one. And that one. And we've got a bit of Harley Quinn.
Oh, nice.
Nice. That's a good cover.
Yeah, I like that one. And finally, oh, that's quite nice. So this is the Superman acetate cover. So
cool.
Acetate cover. When you open that, he's kind of Superman behind the
nice.
shirt and everything. So that's pretty cool. Drop us your address on Instagram, Phil, and I shall send those books your way, my friend.
Good comics.
Nice to see you. Okay, guys, let's have a back to normal. We're at the end game now, gents. I know it's been a long show, but we're at the end game. We're going to quickly go through some recent movie news. So let's have a look. See what we've been watching lately. It's been Christmas, so I've been watching some bits and bobs. And I know, Luke, I know you're a fan of this. Kev, Ephraim, I'm not sure if you guys, I know there's an American version of this, so interested to know if you've seen it. This is the final ever episode of Ghosts in the UK. I love this series. If you haven't seen it, this is by the guys who do Horrible Histories. It's a half-hour show with basically them in this lovely big house. A couple move in and the lady can see all of the people that have died in the house over the years. They did an American version, which I think is just as good, actually. I think it's done well, the American version.
Yeah.
But this was the last ever episode, and I thought it was beautiful. It ended in a real nice point. Luke, did you watch this? Because I know you're a fan of the series.
Yes, I did. I fell in love with this show. And again, I binge watched it. So it was on the last season, and I just caught up with all that came before. Such a great story. So it's really heartfelt. And I'm glad that this Christmas special existed, because I didn't know that this existed until you told me that there was a special on at Christmas. And I always felt like the last episode didn't feel like a season finale. So I kind of felt like I was shortchanged with that. But then to hear, like, literally I waited like just a couple of months, and then all of a sudden there's this Christmas episode, and it, like you say, so perfect for an ending. Really well done, beautiful ending. The caveman character, Robin, is just the best. Like, he's so good. But I don't want to say any spoilers about the show. Please do just go and watch it. It's on the BBC iPlayer. It's great.
It's a comedy. It is, like I say, half-hour episodes. It's worth just watching 1 or 2 of them to see if it's your style of comedy, because it is a bit silly, but there's a lot of emotion attached to it, and the characters, you just fall in love with the characters. They're superb. Any of you guys watch this or the American version?
They started showing the UK version here in the United States, but I think because of the writer's strike, specifically on CBS. I haven't seen it, but I've been watching the US version of it. You know.
Yeah.
It's on my larger list of things to watch, but with this recommendation, I'll jump it up to the top. I'm a huge fan of the UK stuff too, so I'll probably watch that version first.
Yeah,
you remind me a bit of Julian, actually, Peter.
Fuck you. Damn your eyes, man! I love Julian. Yeah, it's very cool, very cool. So
the series ended in the UK. Then they did a special.
No, yeah. So they did a Christmas special, which was, it kind of wraps the story up nicely, while still kind of leaving it open for other stories. But it's just it's well done in terms of it, because you know how some series finish and there's just you kind of think there's no end, this
Yes.
was a nice end point.
Do you know what? It did make me go back and watch Horrible Histories on the iPlayer as well. And the kids have just fallen in love with it. Like I remember watching it when I was younger, and now they're watching it too. So it's great.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool. I also watched this. Doctor Who. Anybody watch Doctor Who?
I didn't watch it. And it's not because I didn't want to. It's just I was so busy at Christmas. I just haven't had the chance. But I'm not hearing good things.
Well, it's already. I'm a big Doctor Who fan going back years, and I know Doctor Who is supposed to be not the best. Do you know what I mean? It's always had dodgy special effects and dodgy monsters, but that's part of the charm. I got really excited for these 3 specials with David Tennant coming back, and they were okay. They didn't blow us away. They didn't blow us away, but they were okay. Loved Neil Patrick Harris in the 3rd one as the Toy Master. He was phenomenal. Anytime you've got Neil Patrick Harris singing Spice Girls in a kind of a circus master outfit, I'm there. Do you know what I mean? And then we've got the Christmas special with the introduction of the new Doctor. Some interesting kind of practical creature effects. We'll get a dance number halfway through it. It just didn't blow us away. Anybody else watch it?
No, I'm working. Like I love Doctor Who, and I fell off the ball, so I'm kind of working my way from 2023, I think it is. So I've just had you on mute for that whole thing because I didn't want to hear about it.
I blurted it out now. They all die, Charlie.
Where do I start in Doctor Who? That's always been my struggle. Is by the time I got interested enough to want to watch it, I'd have to go back like 20 seasons, and the effects don't age well. I don't know if the story ages well. Is there a recommendation as a Who fan where I should just dive in?
I've had
David Tennant.
Too, Kevin, and I never started. So
I would start at it. David Tennant. If you want a more adult Doctor Who, I would recommend Torchwood, because Torchwood is very good.
John Barry.
That's a good series.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be a kind of a reset jumping on point. But yeah. Doctor Who has become for me a program that I watch when I'm playing on my phone. So it's just happening in the background, and that tells us that I'm not as invested or interested anymore. I'm going to give this new series a go. I will give it a Tragedy Tales. Start from season 1. Jesus, yeah.
I'll do it. I'll crush season 1, then move on to David Tennant. I mean, I feel like you gotta pay respects to the roots. So I feel that perspective. But
David Tennant's my favorite. I have to say, my favorite Doctor.
Oh, that's great. To become a Who fan, build a time machine and get into it as a kid. Otherwise, you won't like it.
That's very true.
Nice.
That's very true. Yeah.
Yes, definitely my fault. I'm not engaged with it.
I think that's about me playing on my phone.
No, that too.
Kev, tell me about this one. You mentioned this to us.
Oh my gosh. So Blue-Eyed Samurai, I don't know if you guys have been really into like the big blue chip animated series they've been putting out over the last couple of years. We've got Arcane from League of Legends on Netflix, which was just incredible. And then you've got Vox Machina on Amazon Prime, which is just top tier. And then this came out this year. It's the elevator pitch is basically Kill Bill in Edo era Japan.
Right. Okay.
Animated, so the first time you see a bunch of like fully naked people in a Japanese bathhouse, it's a little shocking. You get past that, and then it's just like blood and guts and sword action and really, really compelling characters. And it's set up for another season to finish up the story. So really like Kill Bill in that it's coming out in a couple of different pieces.
Sounds interesting. I rewatched Kill Bill Part 2 the other day because it was streaming for some reason. I forgot how much I enjoy that series.
It's a great film.
When she plucks the woman's eye out in the kind of the mobile home thing in the desert, it's just love it. This is a really interesting pick. I like this.
Yeah, highly recommended for sure.
Charlie, anything you've been watching that you want to mention?
Do you know what? So you was talking about watching things when you're disinterested. So I massively love The Office USA, and I watch that near enough every single day. I have it playing, and I watch that on a regular. But I've been watching like Bosch Legacies. I've watched like loads of films over the holidays. I've watched like we spoke Talk to Me.
Yeah, I love Talk to Me.
I watched Dark Harvest. I'm looking forward to going to see Thanksgiving. I'm looking forward to Night Swim coming out, another one from
I'm going tomorrow to
A24
see that.
Productions. Yeah, I can't wait. Like, I'm looking forward to it, and then I'm going to watch like the Doctor Who and catch up on that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff.
yes.
Efren, how about yourself?
I've also been watching Blue Eyed Samurai. That's a great pick. I really love it. I haven't seen the end of it yet. I think I'm about an episode away from seeing the end. She's in fighting against the guys who's supposed. Well, I won't tell you what it's about, but I've been watching. I started watching this one series. It's a documentary, and it's just gotten to me. And I just watched the first 2 episodes. It's only 3 episodos long. It's on National Geographic. It's on John F. Kennedy.
All right, yeah.
And the day, it starts like the day that he died, leading up to it, and it interviews some of the people who were in there. And one of them was a Secret Serviceman. He was in charge of taking care of his wife, Jacqueline Kennedy, and just the sorrow in his eyes and this man's almost 90 years old. And you can just see that he was there when President Kennedy died, and he takes like a brunt of the responsibility of it. I was touched by that old man. Went, damn. He's been having this in his heart like for over 60 years. And you can see the sadness, so it's a 3-part documentary. I know we usually talk about comic books and stuff like that.
No, this is
very interesting documentary. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'll check that one. I do like that kind of thing. It reminds us, I think I've mentioned it on the show before. It's very different, but it's a horror-based thing. But you guys familiar with the Enfield horror? Is the Enfield Poltergeist in England?
Yep.
Yeah. The Enfield haunting, wasn't it?
Yeah, so they've done a 3 or 4-part series. I can't remember if it was Amazon or not, but I watched that recently. And what they've done, which I thought was really interesting, is there's an inordinate amount of footage that the guy who was investigating it has taken at the time, video footage. So they've taken the audio off that, and they've got people basically acting, but dubbed. And they've got the radio recordings playing through as they're talking. So you hear in the radio. Really interesting. Really interesting. I have to say, mind, as someone who loves ghost stories, monsters, all that kind of stuff, I got to the end of the 4th episode and thought, yeah, this has just been a load of old bollocks. It doesn't make us think that the story was true, I have to say. Tragedy Tales, was there a 4-part? I think so, mate. I think so. Luke, how about yourself?
I've just been watching old shows. So I often go back to old faithfuls. So I've been watching a show. I think it was on HBO. Maybe it was on another network. It's called Silicon Valley.
Oh yeah.
That's a good show.
Absolutely love that show. This is my second rewatch, and it's just good fun. I love how it ends. I don't want to ruin anything for anyone who hasn't seen it. But it's just a really good show, and in a world of like AI and everything else that's going on, I think it's more relevant now than it was even when it was first made.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you watched Mythic Quest on Apple TV?
No, that's on my list.
Oh my god,
yeah,
it's so good. Yeah, I mean, if you like a couple of the characters are from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. So seeing them as like the big wigs at a game company is pretty hilarious.
I just watched the ending of From, and I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe the ending of that show, man. I can't wait for season 2. Have you ever watched From? I told Peter about this show, man. It's a trippy show. Luke, it reminds me for some reason of Lost.
Just very much.
I'm hearing that a lot.
Yes.
I like that.
I mean, Efren got us into this, and this is, I absolutely agree, Efren. It's very similar to the kind of the Lost setup in terms of you jump around a little bit and things like that. But it's a horror series, and it is genuinely scary at points. I really enjoyed it. Me and my wife watched that. We loved it. Absolutely loved it.
The Enfield 4-part is on Apple TV.
Apple, is it? Yeah. It's really interesting to watch. It's worth a pick up. I've watched this before, but I watched it again with my son. He asked for a Christmas movie, so we'll put this on. This is Violent Night. I wasn't blown away by this at the cinema, but I have to say on second viewing, I really, really enjoyed this. Is there any of you guys seen it?
Yeah, it's fun.
So I watched it for the first time this Christmas, so I was late to it. I was able to get myself a copy of it ready for this year. I couldn't watch it last year.
Yeah. What did you think, Luke?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It's basically Die Hard, isn't it? Like, let's not beat around the bush. That's what it is. It's Die Hard with Santa Claus, but it was good fun. I enjoyed it.
on second viewing, it really left us wanting more of the mythology in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Because you want to know who he was before, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I really enjoyed it. Greyman's asking what's From on. I cannot remember. Anybody know what platform From's on in the UK? I want to say Amazon.
Fox? No, Amazon.
No, it wasn't Netflix. I can't remember, but and then I watched this. Shit the bed. This is
Very
mental.
good.
Absolutely mental. This is Sisu. Again, a nice Christmas movie to watch with my son. I wasn't anticipating this to be as gory and as crazy. I mean, it's mad. Do you know what I mean? When he's crashing bomber aircraft into the sand and getting out alive and stuff like that. But this is an interesting movie. Anybody seen this?
Yes, very good film.
So this is
to my list.
Best way I can describe this is it's a World War II movie. The Nazis are fleeing, but they're doing a scorched earth policy as they go, and they interact with this ex-special forces gold prospector, who just wants to walk past and go on his merry old way, and they kick off with him a bit. And it's a bit, the violence level is a bit John Wick. It's crazy kind of levels of violence. I really enjoyed it, loved it. Like I say, you've got to switch your brain off in terms of how. Really
Speaking of John Wick,
yeah,
I was scrolling through my movies on my server the other day, and I can't believe that's 10 years old now.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I only sat down and watched the first movie,
But that's
like,
because
not that long.
Keanu Reeves doesn't age. He's
A
immortal.
vampire, isn't
It's
it?
true.
You know what I mean? He's just the same. I love John Wick. I haven't done a video on it yet. I recently picked up a prop set of the coins from John Wick.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
You showed them off on the show. They look awesome.
Really cool.
Did you guys see the Continental?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Continental.
That was good.
I enjoyed it.
That
Yep.
third episode was superb.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen it yet, so don't spoil anything.
Okay,
It's-
Luke,
it's
they're gonna.
very cool.
They should have just released it as like a
I haven't-
6-hour movie, though.
I've only-
you know?
Yeah.
I've only just
Great.
got a copy of John Wick 4. I haven't even watched that yet. So
Oh yeah.
I know how it ends. Like I've had that spoilt for me. So, but I haven't actually sat and watched the film.
John Wick 4 gets a lot of grief, and I know if Dr. Von Hoot's in the chat, I don't think he's a big fan. I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you go in and switch your brain off and think this is just because, I mean, he's bouncing out of windows and all kinds of shit. You know what I mean? If you think the laws of normal physics don't apply to John Wick, it's and there's a scene, Luke, where I'm not going to spoil it, but it's a top-down view, which I thought was just stunning, absolutely stunning. Anybody else seen John Wick 4?
I have. Yep.
Super good.
Yeah, it's a tremendous movie. Okay, guys, listen, I've kept you far too long tonight. Thank you very much. Let's just wrap things up. Just to say a few things coming up on my channel. And these are some videos I've got out at the moment, best of 23. A little video about CGT update and a little video about the Thunderbolts issues. So please do check those out. I'm getting into doing them more than just my standard unboxings. I'm still doing that as well. Actually, speaking of that, there's an unboxing video out. Go check that out at the moment. Where, spoilers, I've picked up a double-signed Thor book signed by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
Ooh.
So very, very pleased to have that. I'm going to get that
Nice.
graded, I think. So yeah, that's the videos on my channel. Monday night show, live show every Monday at 8 o'clock. Myself and some of the guys are going to be reviewing we've lost Charlie. Me and some of the guys are going to be reviewing What If Season 2. So talking a little bit about all of the episodes in that, which, yeah, I don't know if you guys have managed to catch up with it all yet. It didn't float my boat as much as I'd hoped. Lots of Captain Carter, which I love because I'm a massive Captain Carter fan. Kev, have you seen the season?
I haven't. I tend to let the What If save up and then just watch the whole season because I do a lot of flying to conventions during the year, and it's awesome for watching on the plane. Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting discussion on Monday, I think. So yeah.
Yeah.
On
Nice.
my other channel, with James T. Keegan, One Good Scare, which is all about horror and horror movies and content. So go check that out over on One Good Scare Show over on YouTube. We've got a few videos out. This is our current I'll Be Right Back, where we do a retrospective look at a previous film. So we've just done our talk about Gremlins, which was great fun to do because we both hadn't watched Gremlins for a long, long time. And I love it. It's a great film. Now, Killer Comic Show. we've got all kinds of content coming our way from Charlie. So Charlie, tell us a little bit about this.
I don't know if you can hear me because my Wi-Fi has totally just dropped out.
Yeah, got you, mate. We've got you.
So we've got going forward on Mondays. We're going to have the top 15 comics coming out for that week. So I'll be picking 5, and Tom will be picking 5, and Peter will be picking 5 as well. So that'll be going live at around 12 o'clock. Pre-recorded show on the Monday, and then we have on the Wednesday we've got Thank Fockett's Wednesday, when myself, Pete, and Tom will be sitting down. We'll literally pull up the Slab Crusaders website. We'll talk through that, all the FOCs that we've got coming. So you can kind of pre-order your comics and get the content and everything sorted that you need. And then on Thursday, it's operations as usual with the Killer Comic Show, where we will sit down. We will review 2 of the comics that we have put on a community vote, and everyone's ready to sit down review, and we'll go through FOCs, killer covers, indie picks, and all that glorious stuff like that. Yeah.
Tough choices this week, mine, for comics to read, Charlie.
Yeah,
I have to say, there wasn't a lot of great content that jumped out at us, but I voted for that X-Men book because I know you were dead excited to read.
Cheers,
that
mate. Nice one.
Yeah. Ephraim, what's coming up on your channel, mate?
Gosh, I don't know. I've been getting kind of lazy because of the holidays, so I've been doing a lot of shorts, just having fun with that. And Peter and I do our monthly advanced order picks. It's gonna be on my channel this time. I don't know. Whatever pops in my head, I'm gonna do a video on. So nothing really.
Good stuff. Yeah. Loving your shorts at the moment. Loving your ranking shorts. They're really cool. So good stuff. Luke, what's happening over at Hydra Collectibles?
Yeah, so I've got 2 videos in the works at the moment. The first one is regards to DVD and why sometimes it's worth skipping the Blu-ray and not going for the upgrade. And then the second one is more of a connection with my kids. They got a Nintendo Switch for Christmas.
Oh yeah.
So I've been reliving my childhood with the Pokemon Let's Go Eevee video game. So I'm going to be exploring that new found bond that I have with the kids, as well as what I think about the game and digital content in general. So those 2 videos are in the works. Hopefully they'll come out this week. If not, it will be shortly afterwards. So
very cool. Look forward to seeing that. And Kev, where can people find you, and are you on any other shows coming up? Book and watch it on.
So you can find us at SHORTBOX on Instagram. We have a Discord you can access there as well. You're more than welcome to reach out to anyone on the team. I'm the name here is my Instagram name, Kevin_SHORTBOXED. Or you can email us. I manage all the inboxes. So if you need anything from us, please reach out. If you live in the US or you're going to be attending shows on the convention circuit this year, keep your eyes peeled for us. We already have, maybe 10 or a dozen shows we're planning to do, and probably adding more. So chances are we'll be in your neck of the woods soon. Be real excited for auctions coming out within the next month or so. And we've got a couple more cool announcements coming up for, improved seller shops and some other technical stuff that's going to hopefully expand the number of comics on the app very soon. So stay tuned. If you follow along or sign up for our blog, we send out regular newsletters to keep people updated.
Superb,
yeah.
Kev. Can I just give you all a massive thank you to my regular team? Thank you very much. Always a pleasure spending time with you guys. Huge thank you to you, Kev. This has been great fun. You're welcome back anytime you want to come on and talk about whatever you want. Be really interested. And I think personally from myself, I'm definitely going to be going and spend some time on SHORTBOXED because I'm blown away by the app. It's very, very cool.
Very cool.
Right, ladies and gents. That's your whack. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you on Monday night, 8 p.m, where we'll be talking all things What If. And with that, we'll say good night. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
See you later.
Bye.